Welcome, everybody. This is the regular board meeting of September 7, 2023. It is now 4:11 p.m. We will begin roll call.
President Chavez,
Present.
Vice President Cortese,
Sure.
Clerk Doe,
Here.
Member Herrera,
Here.
Member Lay.
I'm here at Sacramento.
Thank you.
Okay. Welcome to the regular board meeting of September 7, 2023. Are there any members of the public who would like to provide public comment to the board on a closed session agenda item at this time?
We have no online public comment.
The board will now recess to closed session. Open session will resume at the end of closed session at approximately 6 p.m. We are going to get started with the board meeting. So please take a seat. All right, we are starting with item 3.02, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Thank you. Okay. Now on to section 4.01. Welcome to the regular board meeting of September 7, 2023. Members of the public, please submit your public comment as follows. Public comment may be made in person in the boardroom by filling out a public speaker request form located at the entrance of the meeting room, which is right out there. And this is what the form looks like. You may raise your virtual hand in Zoom to request to speak and offer comment in real time. You may also submit your comment online by accessing the link to agenda located on the district's homepage at www.ESUHSD.org. Please reference the agenda item number in your written comment and limit your written comments to no more than 1,000 characters in length. Public comment submitted online will be read into the record. Please note, all meetings are recorded. All regular and special meetings of the Board of Trustees and board study sessions are streamed live on meeting nights and are also available for viewing the day after the meeting by accessing the district's YouTube channel listed on the district's webpage at www.ESUHSD.org under the quick link section. The board is not able to respond to items that are not on the agenda or any personnel issues. Your comment will be read into the record and will be directed to the superintendent and/or the appropriate staff member for response. Interpretation of this meeting in Spanish and Vietnamese can be heard by accessing the link and following the instructions shown on the agenda or the district's website. Okay, now section 5.01, adoption of the agenda. Do we have any items to be removed from the agenda for consideration?
We have no items to be removed.
Okay. Section 6, there's nothing there. 7.01, that's our student board liaison, Emily.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Emily Sue, President of the Student Governing Board. The Student Governing Board had our second meeting of the year on Tuesday. We've split our team into two committees, one being the funding committee, who will analyze the budget given to each school and figure out what accommodations can be made to ensure student safety and try our best to prevent any recent events from happening again. The training committee will work with Trustee Norwood from Milpitas District to discuss what qualities make up a good leader and how we can make the best out of Student Governing Board training. With these big plans set in place, I'm hopeful to see what things we can accomplish as a group moving ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Okay, now we are going to section 8, special order of business, 8.01. Is there a request to move items to be considered or discussed or acted out of order as indicated in the agenda?
Yes, we're going to ask that item 1501 be moved subsequent to this item as 9.01,
15.01,
15.01.
okay, to 8.
to essentially 9.01.
9.01, okay.
And then we're gonna ask that item 12.01
Okay.
be discussed prior to 11 or after 10.01.
Okay. Anything else?
Those are the only items considered for moving.
So that is section 8. Now let's go to section 9. And that would be 15.01 because we're moving it. That is a presentation, discussion, under action to receive the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee's 2021-22 bond program annual report for measure JEI Technology INZ. Dr. Hunter?
We have Dr. Schimmel here this evening that will be presenting the annual report to you.
Good evening, Board of Education. My purpose tonight is to share with you the annual report. I'm currently the chair of your Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And I think the board can be very proud of the work that the committee has been doing.
Can you say your name for the record? Sorry.
Barry Schimmel, Chair of the Bond Oversight Committee for the East Side Union High School District. We have many new members this year, and our alternate program that we started with your approval a year ago has really paid off. I describe it as baseball. They're now in the major leagues, but they served a year in the minors, and they have been able to hit the ground running and contribute so much more so quickly. It has been just great. And I think one of the things that I look back of why is this group so good, they have a secret sauce. And the secret sauce is knowing what to do, and maybe more importantly, what not to do. And we don't get into the weeds. And the facility staff, led by Julio Lucas, is absolutely terrific, and his team of support, answering questions for the committee, taking them on tours, talking about the process. We've dug much, much deeper the last couple years. And this year was not an easy year. I'll tell you the good news and the bad news. This has been a difficult year with contractors in the state in general. And we have had one non-performing contractor that has taken a lot of Mr. Lucas's time to keep the project going. But in spite of all that, the staff is moving forward with all of the projects that are on time and on budget. This year is the 21-22 report because it lags for a year so that the public knows that. And it presents a positive report with the community funds. And I think kudos are due to Chris Roberts and his team who actually edited the report, which you have. And hopefully after you receiving it tonight, it'll be on the webpage. I know Ms. Nguyen will have that done in the morning, if not tonight. The report provides 18 pages of information showing pictorially how the funds are used to support student learning. It's not just about building buildings. It's about having facilities that are 21st century and having the kind of tools that will go from school to higher education and to work. Because having a computer that's 5 years old isn't real helpful for students trying to enter Silicon Valley. Having software, changing our facilities with students in mind for student centers so more communication can happen, and treating students like adults versus younger students that you might in elementary school. If you give students the responsibility, they will rise to the occasion. And we've seen that in our facilities, and you'll see that in the report. The community and committee has expanded past our local community. We have begun to participate in statewide California Bond Oversight Organization. In fact, East Side is being nominated for 2 annual awards. One for CBOC Committee of the Year and the other an annual report. So who's ever here next year, hopefully that would be a little feather, feather in our cap. The experience and background of the committee members continues to improve. Having been on the committee for a while, I have just seen the breadth of the committee, the backgrounds, people knowing what they're doing. It has more of a business bent to it. And so the expertise and the questions that your community, the people you've selected to represent you, are doing just a great job. So in closing, I want to say we appreciate the board's support. We appreciate one of the board members always coming to the committee and participating. And if you have any questions, I'm prepared to answer them, or at least try.
First of all, I just want to thank you for being here and thank you for your service. And as you know, I'm always very, very impressed with the high caliber of experience and expertise your committee has, and certainly one of my favorite. And so thank you for your service. And I know we need your service so that the community know that their money is being well spent and spent appropriately. So thank you for your service. And
Thank
please,
you.
send my my respect and my gratitude to your member of your committee.
I think it's a ditto across the board. Dr. Schimmel, thank you so much for your hard work and for your leadership. We know this takes a lot of time and dedication, and it does not go unnoticed. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Board Trustee Von Lay, who's
my
participating
God.
remotely, would like to
Oh,
say something as well,
so,
Mr. Schimmel.
so great. We have one of our colleagues participating today virtually, so we have a hybrid session going on today. Trustee Lay, do you have any comments or
Yes.
questions?
Yes, thank you. I apologize, I could not be today because I have AAPI Leadership Summit at Sacramento tomorrow. So I'm going to be involved in the Zoom meeting hybrid. I attend the walk with the Dr. Schimmel and also staff Julio Lucas. I'm very impressed about the project, you know, for each school that we have right now. And I really appreciate, you know, on the time and the service that CBOC involvement as a member, under the leadership of Dr. Barry Schimmel. So I want to looking forward for the grand opening for one of those facilities that we are on the construction right now. Thank you for your service.
We appreciate your support.
Thank you. Okay, so that was that action item. So now we are going on to section 10. All right. Members of the public may address the board on any subject not on today's agenda. However, provisions of the Brown Act preclude any action. As an unagendized item, no response is required from the board or district staff, and no action can be taken. However, the board may instruct the superintendent to agendize the item for a future meeting. Any person may address the board on any item in the agenda. Persons wishing to address the board may participate and comment as follows. In-person public comment may be made in person in the meeting room by filling out this public speaker form at the room's entrance. When your name is called, please come to the podium and state your name for the record. You may also raise your virtual hand in Zoom to request to speak and offer comments in real time. You will have 2 minutes to speak. Persons may also fill out a speaker request form via online submissions online. Comments should be limited to no more than 1,000 characters in length. Please reference in your submission the agenda item number for your comment. Your comment will be read out loud as public meeting. So, should we start with,
I think we should probably start with the comments of those in the room, and then we can
Yes.
go to written comments subsequently.
okay. These are the students?
These two.
Okay, these two, right? So,
Oh.
great.
These are those on the back.
Love that we have some. Okay, great. All right. So let's listen up in case we call your name. This first person, Alex Vasquez. And the person after Alex will be Ariana Romero, so you can be ready to come up to the podium after. So do we have Alex Vasquez out in the room? Come forward. It's nice to see you again.
It's already green.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for what you all just did. Proud East Side Superintendent, former principal James Lick. When our friend fell, it was no surprise to see people going to help. So take a role and provide that role to them, even if that role meant I need to walk out and give space and give air when we know that's a hard thing to do. So for those that just helped our friend, thank you so much. That's who we are. Things happen in our district where everybody ran in for that student. Everybody responded appropriately. And we're going to do the same thing as a district when we know we have issues to address. And that's what tonight's about. Just so you know, our friend is in the right hands. He'll get the care he needs. And that happened because of those that ran in, supported him. Those that, even though no longer a student with us, knew him, invested in him in the past, and were able to get right there, thank you, with the information and response that was relevant not to what was just happening now, but informed by the past for his better future. I couldn't be prouder of this district and this school and this group of people than I am right now. Let's base our conversation tonight in that. And let's base our future conversations. And how do we get this right for our students? So there's going to be a lot of different ideas out tonight. How do we get it right? How do we as the students, staff, and community get it right for our kids so that they can be full participants in Silicon Valley? You need water, it's in the back. I'm going to get one. But listen, every idea here tonight, every idea, every position will be heard. And we'll take that all in. And we'll respond just as East Side always does, and how you all responded tonight. So when I say thank you, I mean it. Thank you. Thank you for how you responded tonight. And thank you for, even if you would disagree with someone, how we'll work in community to respond in a way that's best for kids. Can we do that? Can we do that? Will we do that? I know we will. Alex, you got cut off, my friend. Where are you at? All right. You want a full redo? I think that's probably the way to go, right? Okay. All right, Board President, whenever you're ready to restart the meeting, go ahead.
Yeah.
Once again, water in the back. If you get a little warm, step out. We'll be here for a while.
Alex, you ready? All right, let's
Turn the microphone towards yourself again.
All right, let's give Alex our undivided attention and continue coming together, truly listening and being there for each other, not only with our ears, our hearts, our minds as well. Go ahead, Alex.
Me miras, pero no me ves. You look at me, but you don't see me. When you look at schools, what do you see? Do you see thugs, kids who are failing class, skip school, drink and smoke? Or do you only see the rising football players, the people that can afford and be able to participate in sports? You don't see the kids who live life without caring whether they live or die. You don't see the scared kid who wonders whether they'll be able to come back home alive. You see the students who do well in school and who play sports and are in the student government, but you don't know who they really are. You don't know who they are when no one is looking. You don't see us for who we really are. You only care what we look like. You ignore kids who wander around the streets. You say we're nothing but future gangsters. But you don't know that it wasn't our choice, that it was your neglect that caused us to be what we are. Instead of giving us nothing but sweet smiles and comforting words, give us change. None of us want to live this way, but we see nothing changing, so we adapt to what you do give us: drugs, violence, and pain. Every gang fight, every school accident, every overdose is a constant scream for you all that we need help. So what's stopping you from helping us? Why do you ignore us? Why do you neglect us, then become surprised when we become involved in gangs and cause trouble? Me miras, pero no me ves. You look at me, but you don't see me. For once, instead of listening to the rich and well-off people who act like they care, listen to the kids and families who go through the struggle. We have a voice too. It's time you listen.
Alex. Ariana, are you in the room? Okay. After Ariana will be Adamari Preciado. Say your name for the record, please.
Afternoon, people of our community and district faculty. Notice I didn't say good afternoon, because quite bluntly, it is not a good afternoon for the lives these incidents have touched. It is not a good afternoon for the students who had to witness them. It is not a good afternoon for the victims nor their families. And quite honestly, it is not a good afternoon for me. My name is Ariana Romero. I'm a senior at James Lick, and I have had the wonderful pleasure of growing up with one of the victims. Throughout all my school years, he has been there. Yes, at first he was my classmate, but as we matured and started to learn more about each other, we became good friends. At some point, our hearts even longed for each other. If you only got to talk to him, you too would see how good and pure his heart is. And now I had to witness him with 4 bandage wraps across his back, almost striking his heart, 6 staples where his surgery incision was, and an immense amount of pain. Then the incident that happened just the week before. Why hasn't there been anything done? School is supposed to be safe, and our school is not right now. And the district is trying to brush us under the rug, but we will not be dismissed. We need change. Police need to be on campus, real trained professionals that are prepared for those situations so we aren't risking more lives at stake. There needs to be perimeter surveillance at all times and specified check-in areas during school hours. Additionally, strict consequences should be enforced so people are held accountable. Another situation is the labeling and stereotyping of the victims. No one knows what they're going through, especially people in your position that don't witness our environment. So accusing students based on their background is inappropriate. Instead, implementing restorative programs would give support and help better the lives of the less fortunate students, because in reality, that is not the life they chose, but the only chance of living they had. I beg for your attention and change when it should have been given long before these incidents occurred. This needs to happen now, but the path is being blocked by you all. Please empathize with us and understand our urgency, because James Lick deserves better. Thank you.
After Adamari will be Mazah. After you, Mazah. And after Mazah, Vilene. You can go ahead, Adamari.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start off by saying thank you for having us and allowing us to share our thoughts and the way we feel about the whole situation. My name is Adamari Preciado. I'm the ASB president of James Lick High School. Now, well, I should be happy knowing it's my last year. I'm not. Over the few weeks, I've encountered more fear than I have excitement. I try my best to not think about the what ifs ideas that go through my head, but realistically, it's not going to help my situation. I shouldn't be thinking about this while I'm at school, because, you know, school is supposed to be a safe area, especially out of reality. Some kids like going to school just because they have friends or even faculty members that have the same wounds, you know, but how can we recover those wounds if things like this keep happening? And our beloved staff getting hurt as well. How does any of that make any sense? How can we go to a safe school or a safe environment where our parents obviously trust us to be there to have an education and grow. But such terrifying incidents happen. Now, I understand that we are the smallest school in the whole East Side District. It is a very Hispanic populated. We are overlooked by the quote unquote reputation of being a ghetto school, which immediately gives students this idea that our school is the worst of them all. But just because our school is small doesn't mean we're less important. So why can't we just have that proper safety? As I walk down these hallways, I always make sure where my closest exit is at. Why? Because that's just how we think now. And I know I'm not the only student that thinks like this, and it shouldn't be because it's so exhausting making sure I have a plan just in case. So when are you guys gonna take accountability for the way students feel? As I stand here, I am reminded about how much it means to stand up against those who don't care about the well-being of our students and staff members. I feel frustrated that without some sort of sense of security around our campus, we might eventually fall down to the ground. I say this because I am a sister, I'm a friend, and I am a student who cares about the future of other students. As my last year in James Lake High School, I want to know that once I leave, I made an effort into the well-being of these students who are here, who are going to continue walking down these hallways with the idea of feeling heard and no longer fearing. Thank you. Once again, my name is Ana Maria Pichado, and James Lake deserves better.
Gracias. Thank you for the claps. If we could do silent excitement, make sure that we can get through everybody. We got quite a few speakers and we want to make sure that they can speak up and go home at a reasonable time. Are you Mazan?
My name is Masa Kikia, and
Oh.
Masa Kikia.
Apologies for mispronouncing it.
That's all right.
Okay.
I attend James Lake and I'm a sophomore.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, students, faculty, and esteemed guests. Today, I stand before you to address a critical issue that affects each and every one of us in this community, making James Lake safer. Our school is not just a place of learning, it is a sanctuary where your children come to grow, develop, and prepare for their futures. Ensuring their safety within these walls is a responsibility that we all share, and it is a commitment that should be at the forefront of our minds. First and foremost, it is essential to acknowledge that James Lake High School is a wonderful institution with a long history of academic excellence and community involvement. However, recent events have raised and highlighted concerns within the students, teachers, and parents. A teacher was hospitalized by a student who didn't attend James Lake while she was trying to report the problem. There was a fight that resulted in 2 students being stabbed and hospitalized by students who did not attend James Lake. A girl overdosed in the girls' bathroom, and countless fights breaking out nearly every week. The stabbing incident that took place on August 17th left me essentially speechless. The announcements ordering Code Blue and shelter in place to evacuating the school left my nerves on edge. I didn't know how to feel. I took Friday off to try and get my mind and thoughts straight. My sisters, James Lake alumni, didn't know what to think. Their beloved high school had now become a crime scene, with their younger sister experiencing it in real time alone. Everyone hears stories on public high schools being dangerous, from school shooters to school fights, and it has always been looked at as a joke until it has happened to you. Roaming the halls on Monday, my heart rate would only increase, and leaving the school was the only thing on my mind. I had always considered transferring, independent study, or even homeschooling, but this year I've decided to stand with the students at James Lake and ask and advocate for change. We want to see change. We want to see the adults that are responsible for change show concern for their peer. Ever since the incidents, I have not heard or seen anything from the districts that shows any signs or efforts to fulfill our pleas. Here, I am asking the district to stop sweeping these incidents under the rug and consider our call. School should not be a place where students fear their safety and students be painted as ghetto. I no longer want to hear people say that, oh, James Lake, isn't that the school that is not so good? Every time I tell them that James Lake is better. Thank you. James Lake deserves better.
Adilene Aguilar, Yahira Núñez, and Cristina Zamora. Adilene?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My name is Adilene Aguilar. As a senior who's been at James Lake since freshman year, it's infuriating to see the lack of precautions being taken to keep our school safe. Both my sisters also attended James Lick all 4 years, and they never experienced anything to that extent because they had necessary reinforcement. So why aren't we getting the same safety measures as they once did? James Lick deserves better.
Thank you, Arilene. Yakira. Yakira, okay. And Christina, if you're around, if you could stand near. So Yakira is next and then Christina.
My name is Christina Zamora. I'm a sophomore at James Lake High School. I'm also a chapter intern with Californians for Justice. I have seen inequalities in my community and wanted certain changes in my neighborhood. I got involved with CFJ because they provide opportunities for young people like me to take initiative and transform our communities. First, I strongly believe we should not have police in our schools. Officers make me uncomfortable. Like if I put my hands in my pockets, they can take it the wrong way, or they can think I'm doing something suspicious. By having them on campus, it says that we, the students like myself, are seen as problems that need to be contained and punished. It says that we are not seen as young minds capable of success. I know that people are scared because of the incidents, but we should not let fear define us and let us take crucial actions for it. This is when we should say that students matter and we should be talking about racism and inequalities that allow incidents like this to happen. In 2019 and 2020, Eastside passed a resolution where they agreed to establish and implement a special task force to engage school stakeholders in implementing a clear policy of supervision and safety protocols for our schools. Our school sites without police, I want to invite the district to share what y'all have come up with since the adoption of the resolution for safety and wellness for our schools and students. Thank you.
Is Yakira out there? Yakira? Then after Yakira, Liberty?
Hello, my name is Yahira Nunez. I'm a senior, and today I'm speaking on behalf of Angelica Bracamontes, a peer of mine, who could not be here with us today. The day of the stabbing that took place at our school, my little sister asked me wondering who got stabbed, and when I mentioned a name, she immediately fell into a state of shock and sadness. She was telling me that it's a friend, a guy who is friendly with his peers at school, and someone who is loved by multiple students. This event hurt multiple people physically, emotionally, and mentally. Making our school safer is one of many things needed, but it's a district-wide initiative that needs to take place. My sister will be here for 2 more years after I graduate, then my brother will follow afterwards. I never want to hear my siblings or their friends say that their safety was jeopardized when the district had the power to make thousands of kids feel safe in areas that shouldn't be labeled as dangerous. James Lick deserves better. Thank you.
Liberty. Liberty here. No Liberty? Sunny. Sunny. Is Sunny here? Oh, Liberty is here? Is that you? Come on up.
Madam President, I
Yes.
think it would help to move it along if you had 1 speaker up and 2 standing behind them.
Great.
Rather than them starting to walk up.
So, okay. Sunny and Katia, can you stand behind Liberty, please, so that you can go immediately? Sunny and Katia. Apologize if I'm mispronouncing any names. Go ahead, Liberty.
Hi, my name is Liberty. I am a senior at Independence High School, and I would like to thank you all for having this board meeting and open for us to speak. Yesterday, I am an officer of the Teaching Academy club at Independence. And yesterday we sent an email saying that we had a forum at last week about having our concerns about what has happened at school, because we have heard what had happened at James Lake and also at Piedmont Hills. So we wanted to know, like, what concerns do you have about school? And there's so many issues that we have, like, on campus that range from having unclean campus, not being able to use the restroom during class because it's neither sanitary nor safe, of broken toilet seats, holes in the stalls, broken doors, students peeing over the stalls, taking pictures, kids smoking and vaping, and just all over taking the restrooms. And there's so many other things that of issues that we have that we listed on the email that we had sent yesterday. And we also linked a document saying that our positive experiences that we had from the students that were at the meeting that we had. But there's also many negative experiences, and we also have a lot of solutions that what we would like to have, like we would like to have happen as a result of what we discussed at the safety meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Sunny. So we got Sunny, Katia, and then Josh. You can send that, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Sunny.
Good afternoon. My name is Sunny Rees, and I come representing the Teaching Academy. I am a senior in Independence High School, a school that is often classified as ghetto and unsafe. And I honestly stand by that statement. Oftentimes, the safety inside of the school is overlooked. We have no control of the people that come in and out of campus. There is not enough staff to keep it safe. We come thinking that school is a safe place, but it no longer feels that way. There is no control inside. And to be honest, the condition that the student buildings, such as the bathrooms, are unusable. The safety inside is terrible. There's people smoking, fighting, peeking inside of other stalls. There is no privacy. The lack of safety inside of our school is a real concern. And it has gotten to the point where it's not only dangerous for your students, but also your employees that are trying their best, but can't do much because of the lack of resources that are given to them. I am the oldest out of three. I come from a Hispanic household where these types of issues that have been happening, like at James Lick, are taken with a lot of seriousness. I have two younger siblings. One of them has gone through an issue similar at his middle school, Sunrise. And I do not want him to go through the same thing. He is a really smart man. He is incredibly talented. And I know that if he went here, he would just not be giving enough resources to continue with that brilliant mind of his. And I know that other people can agree with me that they don't want their younger siblings to go through issues that James Lake, Piedmont Hills, including Independence last year and the year before that, have gone through. And I think it's time that you guys pay attention to that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, Katia? Michelle Martinez, you'll go after Josh. Thank you. Go ahead, Katia.
Good evening, Katia Thiel. I am a proud alum from James Lake High School and a community member. Here tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of my younger brother, Christopher Lopez. He is on the autism spectrum and he's in a special program at James Lake where he's a freshman. Earlier this year, he was actually placed in the wrong classes. He was placed in general ed classes where he was overwhelmed to the point where he had multiple anxiety attacks, where he had to leave the classroom. That is terrifying for our family that he just walked out and nothing could be done about that. What was even more terrifying was to think about the possibility that there could have been a police on campus who is not trained, who does not know how to deal with someone on the spectrum, who cannot de-escalate a situation. That would have been much more terrifying, because what if they had encountered him in the middle of a breakdown where he does get loud, where he doesn't allow people to come next to him, where his behavior is erratic, That is terrifying, that they could have caused an even more traumatic experience with him. I do not want his experience as a special education child to just be pushed under the rug because these folks are not trained to, deal with it. I understand the need to want to pull him out of school. Our family considered that. We literally were considering moving to get him out of that school in the district. But my siblings and I graduated from that school. We are successful. We deeply believe in our community and the power and the love that exists there. So we chose to keep him there. I am proud of that. And I'm asking you all right now to not act out of fear, to not act about the possibility, but look of the possibility of something worth happening, because I think that there are so many restorative justice practices that we could look at. And that's all I'm asking, for you all to stand by the resolution that you adopted in 2020 and create a task force and bring all the stakeholders together to not criminalize our young people, because that's what we're looking at. And if you hear all of them talk about, that's the common thread. James Lake deserves better. Each and every one of us deserves better. Criminalizing them is not going to do it. We know that. We know the statistics. We know the pattern. Please do not act out of fear. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we got Josh, Michelle, and then Jeanette Godinez.
Hi, board members. My name is Josh Yang. Today I'll be reading a letter off of a teacher from James Lake. Hi, board. My name is Stephanie Blanco. I was the James Lake staff who was physically assaulted by a female adult trespasser. This physical assault impacted me greatly. I sustained a concussion and continued to work on my healing journey of therapy, both individual group, eye appointments and doctor appointments. The pouring of support has been tremendous, and I feel very grateful for James Lake High School. My commitment to James Lake holds strong. Our school has endured a lot in the past month. We need to continue to engage in conversation with all stakeholders of teachers, students, parents, and staff to build a sustainable safety network that builds our school culture and achievement. Our James Lake admin have been hosting listening circles to engage with our stakeholders to gather feedback. And in 2 weeks, we will have a school-wide listening circle with all students to focus on safety solutions, and then the next week with our staff. In addition, other safety solutions that do not involve policing our students includes restorative practices, de-escalation strategies, training, ongoing support and collaboration with our community-based organizations like New Hope for Youth, Compadres Network, Californians for Justice, New Woman Freedom Center, and San Jose City programs. Our Latino Student Union hosted a beautiful Aztec danza healing ceremony. James Lake's Student Equity Council also brought furry friends with 10 dogs and 1 cat on campus to help our students feel safe when on campus and promote healing. These are wonderful examples of how to bring healing and build community connection. There's a long history of trauma and policing in our communities. All of us clearly want our schools to be safe. We need to continue to collaborate with all stakeholders and come to a restorative comprehensive plan and decision that is sustainable and healing for our school and communities. When we are unified, we can move mountains. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Michelle, Jeanette, and then Charlotte Gavijas.
Hi, my name is Michelle Martinez. I moved to the east side just as the COVID pandemic hit. I did everything in my power to keep my kids out of this school system. We moved from Sunnyvale, so this was a huge culture shock for us. Coming to the east side, I've taught my kids, always watch your back. Watch your back because you never know what's coming. This is a whole different community here. My kids are very aware of what's going on in the schools. I have a freshman and a senior. My freshman will go into the bathroom during third period and he says, "Mom, it's full of smoke. It's weed. It's everywhere. There's drug dealers on campus where you can get your drugs from. There's issues with sports. We don't have funding. The track team has no track blocks. The football team has little to no good equipment. Even though my kids are involved in sports, there's no community support. So something has to change to make these kids feel seen and heard and feel safe at school. My kids, getting a text from my kids while they were in class saying that they were on lockdown was the scariest thing that I've ever had to go through. And I live a block and a half from the school. I was there within minutes. I was greeted by people who told me that all the kids were safe, which was a complete and utter lie. So my big concern, first of all, is our safety. Secondly, community support. Where is there support for these kids who do want to do athletics, but there's no funding? They don't have equipment that works for them. So we need, as a community, safety. We need resource officers to curb the drug and game problem, and we need community involvement. People come out to our sports games. There's a game on Saturday. Come support our team. That's what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Jeanette. After Jeanette will be Charlotte Cavijas and then Alberto Camacho. No. Okay, so Alberto Camacho and Greg Duarte. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Godinez, and I'm a parent to a sophomore at James Lick. First of all, I want to say what a great turnout. Thank you everyone for being here, community, parents, grandparents, everybody for your support. It amazes me to see all these teachers that were there when I was a student. Let's just say over 20 years, I'm not going to put an exact number. And it's just amazing how they're still here. So either they get paid really well or they just love our community. So thank you for that. I want to start with the incident that happened at James Lick. Like Michelle said earlier, it was terrifying. I was also there within minutes, calling all my friends. You want me to get your student because I know you're at work, dialing, my phone was going off the hook. It was just a scary situation. And when my son came home, the first thing I said was, how are you feeling? And he said, are the kids okay? Are they gonna be okay? Or something happened? Did they die? Because of course rumors start appearing. And I said, I'm not sure yet, but let's pray. When we found out they made it and they were okay, I asked him again, how do you feel? Well, Mom, what do you expect? It's the East Side. I'm trying to get away from that stereotype and for my son to tell me, Mom, it's the East Side. That's normal. It just breaks my heart. So I'm asking, it's time. Let's make some changes. When I went there, we had a police officer. He was everyone's best friend. Let's make something happen for the kids, our future. They deserve better. I have family from Yerba Buena and Independence. Let's do it for all. Thank you.
Alberto, Greg, and Greg Duarte and Marta Ramirez.
Buenas tardes. I'm Alberto Camacho. I'm a product of James Lick High School. I'm a product of some of the teachers here. I'd like to begin with emphasizing that the East Side is not dangerous, that we are not just a whole different ballgame. We are not. I'm a proud East Side representative. I came back to the East Side to give back to my kids, give back to my community. As a child of Latino parents, and I think a lot of Latino parents can agree, we are very distrustworthy when it comes to coming on campus. I remember being a student at James Lick, and Mr. Vanderzee would fill the basketball gym with Latino parents. He did something that invited Latino parents to come by, be active, be there for their kids. And I think we have to tap into that. We have to tap into the parents. We have to tap into the community. There's so many resources that are so much better than having police on campus. Police officers do a lot of stereotyping. I myself wanted to be a cop before a teacher, and on those ride-alongs, they treated me just like a gang member, where they said, we're gonna switch you from your family, you're gonna forget who you were, we're gonna teach you how to identify individuals, who looks like they may carry drugs, X, Y, and Z. And as a school culture, we have to not believe that these kids are selling weed. We can't look at these kids as criminals. They're kids, and they're doing what they can to survive with the cards they were dealt with. And if it's something if it's a pill that some of these teachers can't swallow, then they got to figure it out and rethink their narrative of what are they doing here? Are they here for the check, or are they here to support the kids? So I think it's time for us to not think with emotions, but to think logically and come together with a common consensus to best support the students that are often overly criminalized and the community that we're serving. Thank you.
Gracias, Alberto. Okay, we got Greg, Marta, and Anna Hawks.
Hi, good evening. Greg Duarte, Independence High School, 16 years campus monitor. Mr. Van Zee, you were right. What happened earlier before we begun, it's something we do every day. Just went through it yesterday at Independence. So it doesn't surprise us that we all get up and do what we do best. Our schools are at crisis. Our community is in crisis. And actually, our district is in crisis. Okay. We choose to, I think, turn a blind eye to what really is going on in our society today. Okay. James Lick, Independence, Mount Pleasant, Yerba Buena, Piedmont Hills. I can keep going on and on. Knives, guns, shootings. Just last Friday, 2 of our kids were jumped by people on the street right next to our public library with a gun pulled out, witnessed by parents. I think enough is enough. We can say, yeah, do we need SROs? Probably. Do we not need them? Probably. But what is the answer? For the past 3 years, all I keep hearing is we're working on it. We're working on it. Well, enough is enough. 3 years is a long time to keep working on something. If I come to school every day and I tell my APA, hey, I'm working on going outside and monitor to the campus, you think she's going to buy that? Not going to happen. Okay? What we do, go out there, monitor the campus, try to keep it safe. We're not trained. We're not trained against knives. We're not trained against guns. We're here to help kids get to class, stay in class, get an education, to move on to bigger and better things. Not to do what we do every day. I'm afraid to come to school after 17 years as a 63-year-old adult because I do not know if I'm going to get stabbed or shot. The campus monitor at James Lick should get a Medal of Honor in my eyes. Thank you.
We have Martha, Anna Hawks, and Mike Gattenby.
Hello, my name is Marta Ramirez. I'm a parent of a student at James Lick who has spoken before me. I want to go back in time a little bit when I'm a graduate of Andrew Hill, class of 02. I was never a good student. I was the student that was there from 5:30 a.m. to 7-8 p.m. simply because I didn't want to go home. I couldn't go home because I could not survive at home. And it's heartbreaking to think that now the students who are in the same position that I was before have no safe place. They can't show up at school. They have no outlet. School, sports, that was my outlet. We want it back. And with your permission, I will turn around and address the public. And I'm going to say this a little bit in Spanish and English. To all the parents.
Yeah, pick up the microphone and speak with the microphone, please. Thank you.
To all the parents, we are better. Our kids deserve better. I am the type of parent that will wake up every morning and go knock doors. I will knock those doors and get every single parent in my neighborhood involved. And I want to see every single one of those faces I see out here, out there in the schools, representing your student. We can do this. A call out for all the schools. Let's start PTA. Let's start a PTSA. Let's get involved. Let's make our children proud of us. Show them what a leader is and show them how to stand up for themselves, because no one will do that better than you. Thank you.
Anna, Mike, and Jamie Fimbris.
My name is Anna Hawks. I'm a parent of a junior at James Lick High School. My daughter graduated from James Lick High School last year. Both of my children were straight A students at James Lick. My daughter was the recipient of the Oyama Athletic Award given to her in 2022. Both of my children love James Lick. They excel there. They're involved in activities. My daughter was involved in the student government, anything she could be involved in. She played volleyball, she played soccer. Sports, I was really disappointed in the lack of resources that the school has. I personally had to shuttle the volleyball team and the soccer team. I had an expedition. I fit 9 girls into my car and I would take them to Half Moon Bay, whatever schools, high schools they had to go to play. But I realized that not all parents have the ability to do so. I made sure I monitored my children's social media sites, what they were involved in, who their friends were. Not all parents can do so because they're working so many jobs to be able to pay the rent or to put food on the table. Recently, the last couple of incidents this year at James Lick High School has frightened me, where I really haven't ever been frightened. My daughter used to come home and tell me the stories of she couldn't use the restroom, the doors were locked, or there was only one restroom available to them. She'd come running home to use the restroom because of girls smoking weed in the bathrooms or the intimidation that was going on in the bathrooms. I'm here, had the opportunity last week to ask Mrs. Cortese as to why the officers were removed from campus. And I'll be honest with you, the reason that she gave was not enough for me to believe that my children's safety is in jeopardy of them just being able to go to school. I also have nieces and nephews who are there. I also have family members who are teachers and members of the Eastside Union School Districts, and I'm fearful for their safety as well as my children. And I believe that the district should reconsider putting this resource officers back on campus for not only the safety of our children, but the safety of all staff members. Please, I ask to all of you to be reconsidering following the footsteps of Campbell Unified and San Jose Unified, who put those officers back on campus. That's what they need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we got Mike Gattenby, Jamie Fimbres, and then Cami Gattenby. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Mike Gatenby. I've been a teacher at James Lick for the last 25 years. And I'd like to ask any of you who are concerned about safety or the learning environment to please stand if you are able. I'm just going to hold this because I'm too tall. Violent incidents district-wide are at an all-time high. We are sensitive to the concern that police on our campus may perpetuate stereotypes of our community. That might not be the solution. However, I'd like to ask you, board, answer this one question. Who is currently responsible for physically de-escalating the types of violent incidents we are increasingly experiencing on our campuses? The safety team, as currently constructed, cannot defend our campuses with whistles and walkie-talkies, not while facing intruders on campus armed with knives and guns. It's also dangerous for district leadership to dismiss these increasing incidents of violence and drug use on our campus as isolated incidents. This lack of transparency erodes the trust between the district and its communities. Our communities deserve better. At James Lick, despite many staff members voicing their concerns about the safety and overall learning environment for the last several years, our pleas for change have been continually dismissed. At last week's emergency listening circle, board members Chavez and Cortese listened to concerned students and parents share horrifying accounts of unaddressed bullying, rampant drug use, and brazen gang activity on campus. The staff has been raising these same concerns for years. However, instead of addressing these concerns, students, staff, and now parents have been forced to suffer through an endless loop of listening circles, with more to come apparently, that have yet to produce any meaningful outcome. Zero. This week, the James Lick staff united to develop a multi-point plan aimed at improving safety and the learning environment at James Lick with specific metrics to measure the effectiveness of these reforms. We ask that the board direct our administration to implement these reforms immediately and improve the transparency to the entire James Lick community about what actions they have adopted. This is a pivotal moment for the direction of our district and for the future of James Lick High School. What you do next will show our community that the district truly believes in equality for all students and that the district's #1 concern is safety, not optics. The time for words is done. It's time to act.
Thank you. Well, Jamie, Tammy Gattenby, and Mark Adams.
Hello, my name is Jamie Fimbres, and I am a James Lake alumni. Safety for the students in this community is the reason we are all here, but that doesn't have to mean cops back on campus. In a perfect world, the police are the people who are meant to protect and defend us. And in that world, cops on campus would be the answer. But as a student of color who grew up around gang violence, I have seen firsthand how kids can be demonized within seconds, all because they look suspicious. I was one of the many students to fight to get SROs off campus. And let's not forget why. This is a community with many students who have lived difficult lives and have their fair share of police-related trauma. We're all scared for our community, but we cannot let that fear control our schools. Bringing SROs back will not just solve all the issues. There's other ways to produce safety without instilling more fear into our students. And to all our white teachers here who have had the luxury of feeling protected by our police system, take a moment to consider the majority of Black and brown students in your district that will go to school every day feeling targeted and criminalized, and how police may not equal safety to them. Something needs to be done for the safety of our students, but that means for all of them. And police have proven time and time again that they can't do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. So we got Tammy Gattenby, Mark Adams, Jack Aiello. Go ahead, Kim.
Good evening. I'm Camille Gatenby, Mike Gatenby's wife and partner of over 20 years. I stand for all the spouses, partners, siblings, relatives, friends, whose loved ones show up to James Lick and every high school campus in Eastside San Jose. Every day, Mike gives me a goodbye kiss on his way to work while I am still asleep. He's got a better schedule than I do. I now wake up every morning and put eyes on him as he walks away. It is a live prayer that he comes home safe to me every day. I am currently researching the best bulletproof vest money can buy for my husband, just so he has it in his classroom. God willing, he never ever has to put it on. I work in industry. I have the privilege of serving as the head of talent recruitment, so hiring, for Blue Shield of California. I work with colleagues who have ranged from individual contributors all the way up to chief marketing officers and CFOs whose spouses are teachers. And those colleagues carry the same pain, worry, anguish, sadness, fear, immense fear into our workplace. The mental toll and fear we all live and for our loved ones is now a constant and very real issue. We and many companies, just like Blue Shield, need future leaders, all of whom are these students here today. We will not have the talent to fuel the workforce California and the Bay Area and Silicon Valley needs, not just to thrive, not just to exist, but to thrive if we don't change. Whatever is being done is not working. The system is collapsing under the weight of the they with the binary polarizing narratives. We need to lead from the front with structured reform that restores confidence and a foundation of safety for students. We are better than this. We can write a different ending to this story, and the time to lead from the front is now with everyone together. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. So we got Mark Adams, Jack Aiello, and Julio Pardo.
Well, hello, I'm Mark Adams. I'm a teacher at James Lick High School, a proud teacher of James Lick High School, and I'm a member of the Eastside Teachers Association, a proud union member. Everything that we have worked for, equitable learning communities, welcoming every student as they are, preparing students to be global citizens, we risk it all when our campuses are not safe. Our students they have a right to a safe campus. As site president of my union, I've been listening to our stakeholders, students, parents, and teachers. And if you listen to what they're saying, and they have many different ideas, sometimes those ideas are conflicting ideas, but if you listen to what they're saying, they are saying that we need campus police. I cannot be your campus security. Mr. Gatenby, maybe, he's a little bigger than me. But this is it. This is your campus security when there are violent threats on there. And we don't know what to do except to put ourselves in between those who want to harm our students and those who are trying to harm our students. These are our students. These are our babies. We want them to be safe. We're hearing from our community. I'm hearing from my students. I'm hearing from parents. I'm hearing from other teachers, people of diverse ethnic backgrounds saying that we do need to have campus police. I'm also hearing that we need to have safe, drug-free hallways, bathrooms, that we need to have enhanced after-school programs and extracurricular activities. We do need game intervention. We need to open up our campus, not close it at 3:30 because it's not safe. We need to open up events, not cancel them because we're not sure we can provide security. What we need is a comprehensive overhaul to our safety plan. I've spent years, the last several years, embracing PBL, grading for equity in our tier 1 supports. I believe in them. But right now my attention has shifted to focus. And you see before you people with diverse viewpoints all ready to volunteer to work with your superintendent, Glenn Vanderzee, and the entire board. We're ready to work for you. Just call us up, we'll be there.
Thank you, Mark. Jack, Julio, and Al Christensen.
Hello, I'm Jack Aiello from Independence High School. I've been teaching there for 38 years. And while I've been there, I've had the opportunity of seeing police officers on our campus, and in some cases, actual former students of mine who were able to act as role models on our campus, who I could invite into my classroom, make presentations, and many students that I've had have aspired to become police officers. So having them on campus was a positive as far as I could tell. And why they were removed, when I don't understand, there's no data to show that there were any incidents that caused abuse. There's nothing to support that there was anything done wrong, and yet they were taken away. My understanding is the police are there to protect, not to make the students criminals. They're not criminals. They're to protect the criminals who come to campus to harm them. We don't have the resources to protect our students against guns and knives. And now these events where groups of people come onto campus all at once and try and create some kind of havoc. The best way to do that is with some kind of a resource officer or police officer. And as we've seen in other districts, bringing them back seems to be the smart thing to do. We need to make our campuses safe. And I think the best way to do that is to have those police officers there so that the students that are afraid to come to campus can come back. We're losing students in enrollment because they're afraid to come to our schools. And I think we should allow them to come back by having the police officers there. So I just wanted to make sure to make that point that I think that that's what we need to do. I also wanted to point out that Alex, who spoke earlier, is a former student of mine. He attended Independence for a while, so I was very proud to hear him speak and feel proud to have been part of his education. Thank you very much.
We have Julio Pardo next, Al Christensen, and Marta Espinosa. Julio Pardo will be getting 5 minutes. He's the president of CSEA.
Julio Pardo, President, Chapter 187, East Foothills, California School Boys Association. Originally, a week and a half ago, I had other plans of about what to speak at this meeting. But in the last week and a half, there have been events at some of our campuses, and I have gotten many emails and letters from many of my fellow members about incidents that have happened in the past. And we also had so I called a meeting for our employees, and we had about between 40 and 50 people, which for us is pretty good for a meeting. And there's a long discussion. The problem with that discussion is that people were split as to exactly what we need on these campuses. The one thing I will say is that I've been involved with this district even before Mr. Herrera was on the board. So, and I can recall back then The same thing was happening on our campuses. The difference was that the perpetrators had to deal with some kind of results, some kind of consequences. The problem now is that it appears there are no consequences. And when there are no consequences, people can feel they can do whatever they want. I'm not blaming the board for this. There are some things you do that I feel maybe we can change, but I know that society overall has changed. Nowadays, when there is a fight, they become famous because we have, I'm willing to bet there are people behind me right now that probably film things and send it to their friends to show what happened. That does not help matters any. There are people that set things up on purpose so that events will happen, so they can film it and put it out there, and they get that 15 seconds of fame. But there are no consequences. What happens to these students? Why are they still allowed to be on our campuses? When these students are allowed to get away with things, we have those as I call them, the borderline. So the hardcore students, they're the ones we have to deal with. But what happens is our borderline students, they start seeing that, hey, if they're not gonna get in trouble, I'm not gonna get in trouble. How can they do anything to me when I do something very small, when these other people are doing things much worse and nothing happens? We need resources to try to keep those students from doing things that we don't want them to do, doing things that are detrimental to themselves and to the rest of the students on our campus. At Andrew Hill, I know that many of our students are also afraid to go into the bathroom. I'm not afraid to go in the restroom and try to move things, but boy, I have to hold my breath because I cannot breathe sometimes when I walk in there. It is bad. And what can I do? I don't know who's doing it. And even if I did, nothing happens most of the time. Once in a while, they might, if I can actually identify the person, we can take them in, they have a little talk with them, and that's it. There is no suspension, there is no detention. Even some of our athletes do stuff and get away with it. And when our best students, when our athletes, when our top students do things and get away with it, I don't want to say it's over with, but it makes it tough to try to get the average student. And I don't mean to denigrate anybody by saying average, but the student that just wants to go to school, get their diploma and leave. So we have to do something. This board has called study sessions when it comes to the budget. They called study sessions for other things. I think it's time for you to call a study session, involve students, involve parents, involve staff, and try to come up with some solutions, because we can all come up with solutions here. We have people saying we need police on campus. We have people saying we don't need police on campus. We need other things. I don't want to give my own opinion because right now, CSEA, we do not have an opinion as to what should be happening, but we do have a lot of ideas. But I'd rather discuss that in session, come together, decide what we can do, and then come to this meeting and speak to the public as to what we think should be done. So I'm hoping this board will consider that. We need a lot more to be done for our people. We have to worry about the safety of our students, our staff, because if we don't, you're not going to have schools much longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pardo. So we have Al Christensen. Is Al here? I believe that's Al. Okay. Marta Espinosa? Okay, you're right there. And Courtney Garcia. Courtney Garcia. Great. Just want to make sure y'all are ready. Go ahead, Al.
How's that? Thank you. Good evening, board members, district staff, students, families, and community members. My name is Al Christensen, and I've been teaching at Mount Pleasant High School for the last 8 years. I would like to address school safety at Mount Pleasant. I'm encouraging you, the school board and district office, to come and visit Mount Pleasant and the other schools who are having issues in regards to school safety. I ask that you come see and listen to what the students, the staff members have to say about MP. In the 8 years that I've been at MP, I only remember 1 or 2 district office people coming or board members, and not to talk to the whole staff or the student body. After listening to our concerns, then work with each school site independently on building a comprehensive school crisis response plan. This is key because each school and community has their own unique circumstances and challenges. Creating one policy that's supposed to fit every school has not been effective. Our high schools are not cookies. Please do not use a cookie cutter approach that will not be effective. Our admin team needs to be allowed to lead their schools. Last Friday, the admin sent out an email about readdressing safety to our students. Multiple staff members had no idea what the admin team was talking about. And when asked for clarification, none was given. I feel that they are being limited on what they can say to the staff and students. I don't think that's right. Communication is key. Leaders place themselves at a point of friction. Board members, I'm asking you to put yourself at that place of friction at our schools and see what the problems are.
Thank you, Al. Marta Espinosa, then we have Courtney. I see Courtney's ready to go, and then Patrick Longstep. I apologize if I am mispronouncing names. Go ahead, Marta.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marta Espinosa. I am a teacher at Overfeld, and I also have lived in Eastside San Jose since 2005, since I moved down from downtown. So I have a lot of things I would like to say, but I know my time is very limited. But I want to start off with a lot of the things that people have said here are very true, what our students are experiencing. One, I'll talk about the first one is the bathrooms. The constant vaping, the students not feeling safe going to the restroom. We have students who are running to their house to use the restroom or holding it as much as they can before they go because they feel like there's intimidation happening. There's smoking on, 24/7 in there. And though we know who they are, the pattern continues. No consequences for the actions and students feeling safe in the restroom. That should not be allowable. There should be a restroom that should feel safe to students to do their basic needs, to be able to concentrate in the classroom. Let's be real. If you gotta go and you can't go, are you really gonna be learning in the class? No, you're not. Everyone should have the dignity to use the restroom free of drugs, free intimidation, with working toilets, soap, restrooms that are mopped, restrooms that are clean. I mean, let's think about it. Those of us who sit in the office, do you have clean restrooms? What about our students? They do not deserve less than what you have. Let's go now to the other deal with drugs. There's overdoses happening in our schools, yet we're not trained to deal with that. We have students coming with weapons. We are not trained to deal with that. And shootings, they happen. I'm gonna be very personal here. In 2019, I was at the Gilbert Festival when the shooting happened. And the first instinct is to run. And I was pregnant, and you run. We have to feel that in our schools. It can happen. And we are not ready to handle those situations. When I was at Gilbert, I wish we had more cops there to save people's lives. None of our community should lose anybody, not our sons, not our teachers, no any staff for stabbings or shootings that happen on our campus. And you need to take that to heart. James Lake is not my school, but I live minutes away. No parent should get a call that their kid got stabbed at school. Nobody. Because the choice we put on you, you have that power to change. And I gotta tell you, if you won't change things for us to make it better, then maybe we need to get people who do. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. We got Courtney, Patrick. Ooh. Last name Cuss? Okay, thank you.
Hi, Courtney Garcia, adapted PE, James Lick. Just a few weeks ago, during my third period class, I witnessed 7 people attempt to murder 2 students. The next thing I knew, they were running towards the students and staff on the pool deck. I instinctively ran ahead of the group to lock the students and staff inside, as this was their only easy exit. Then I ran back to help. As I approached one of the students, I noticed the blood seemed to pulsate as it poured out of his body. His clothes were dark and saturated with blood. He had major stab wounds on his back, abdomen, and arm. Miss Baba and I held pressure on all the wounds with our bare hands. There was never any time for gloves. His life depended on it. We tried to keep the student's eyes and mind away from how much blood was pooling around him as he kept asking, "You got me?" I asked about a name tattooed on his chest. He said it was his son's name. After the student was finally loaded into the ambulance, I looked down at myself and realized I was covered in blood. Despite their presence and what was reported to the news, I never was addressed by anyone from the district. District members have since passed by and even directly through my classes on multiple occasions, still no acknowledgement, no questions, nothing. Instead, we are sent generic emails about how safety continues to be paramount. This adds insult to injury as you refuse to provide us with a safer learning environment. It wasn't the extreme violence, blood loss, or visible fat tissue that haunts me from that day, as much as the fact that I have no reason to believe something worse won't happen tomorrow. I watched as similar pleas last year were ignored. Some district members couldn't even look up from their phones to pretend to be interested. This is the arrogantly apathetic lack of response at the district level that has enabled these situations to continue and escalate. As a professional in this district, I don't feel safe, considered, heard, or taken seriously.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Courtney. We have Patrick, Mr. Kress, Ben Herning.
Good evening, board members and members of the community. I am Patrick Lonsbach. I've been a teacher at James Lake for the last 6 years. And even though we've been dealing with these incidences quite a bit over the last 3 years, I never kind of activated. And I think the thing that has driven me to activate this year is for the 10th or maybe 15th time in the last 3 years, I've debriefed these kinds of incidences with my kids and asked them, what are the challenges on campus? And for the 10th or 15th time in the last 3 years, I've heard students tell me the adults on campus do not care, because if the adults on campus cared, something would happen. I'm going off a couple different things here. I understand and fully support the district's policy to welcome all students as they are. That cannot mean students, and furthermore, people who aren't even our students, can do whatever they want on our campus. All students and community members should be given an honest chance to comply with very reasonable rules and expectations implemented for student safety and well-being. But when students and other members of the community aren't able to comply, they are both putting themselves and their classmates at risks, and we need to have guardrails come on. A very considerable part of the James Lake community feels like the guardrails at James Lake have come off. Last week, or a couple weeks ago, we witnessed a terrible display of violence. And while we're hearing that this was an isolated incident, the narrative that we've seen the last 3 to 5 years tells a very different story. So I feel like we refuse to implement these solutions because of a focus on equity and needing with kids facing challenges, but I don't think it's equitable that our kids face challenges on a weekly basis that students at more affluent communities have no experience with. And I just didn't want to come here with just my ideas. So I ran some polls with students. I polled over 150 James Lake students. And just real quick, of the 150 students I polled, which let me remind you are overwhelmingly low income, which are overwhelmingly Latino, 75% of our students want police on campus. Less than 9% of students don't want police on campus. 58% of students want fencing around our school. Less than 18% of our students are against fencing on our school. 74% of our students want greater accountability to people who are breaking the rules on campus. Less than 7% of students want less accountability on campus. We're talking about we're talking about avoiding solutions because we want to keep fear and trauma off of our campus. The fear and trauma is on our campus. And unless we implement solutions, our kids are going to continue to have to deal with that.
Thank you. So we have Mr. Kress, Ben Herning, and Ava Chow.
Hi, my name is Patrick Carr. I've had the privilege of working with our most at-risk youth at Foothill for the last 8 years.
The microphone, please. Is it on? Sir, green light? Okay.
Yeah. I work at Foothill, the most at-risk in our district, and it's been a passion and a love of mine. Last year, I worked with the student equity community to get the students' voices about how we can improve our schools. And their number one request was to make bathrooms safe and usable, free of drugs, free of violence. That hasn't happened. So the following year, I took the role as the advisor to see if I could perhaps make that a reality at our school. But what I found was that the policies at my disposal to influence student behavior were ineffective to make those responses happen. So I would just like to ask if we can reconsider some of the policies that we have to respond to student misbehavior, to let kids go to the bathroom at our schools. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Kress. All right, we got Ben Herning, Ava Chow, and Thomas Brittenthal.
Good evening. My name is Ben Herning. I'm a teacher at Andrew Hill. And I want to echo what some of my colleagues have already said. Number one, we all support James Lick and whatever needs to happen. But I do want to remind you that, you know, it was James Lick recently, it was Independence last year, it was Evergreen the year before. It's a pretty common thing. So I do hear that we need the crisis response, but I'm here to talk about the consequences because many of my colleagues are really, really wanting that to be said to you guys. We are constantly dealing with students. You hear it over and over, and we hear that the rules just don't apply anymore. They get I heard it said already tonight, they get a good talking to. And we have a wonderful administration at Andrew Hill, and I don't know where the problem is. And I'm not sure anybody knows. We hear there's lawsuits. We hear, you know, people blaming different things, but there has to be consequences for student behavior, or what you get is these escalating circumstances. And then when it blows up, then everybody wonders, you know, what do we do? What do we do? So I really would encourage you to look at the basics, to look at whatever study group, whatever you need to do to allow our advisors, to allow our teachers, to allow our community members, our parents. We know who the problems are. Ask our campus monitor, Evan Ramos. I invite you to come to Andrew Hill. And when you come, I invite you, as nice as Jose is, not to walk around with him. Walk around with our campus monitors and our campus advisors and see what's really going on. Thank you.
Thank you. So we got Ava Chow, Thomas Brittenthal, and Matt Kwong.
Good evening, Superintendent Vanderzee, our honorable trustees, and our student trustee, Emily Hsu. My name is Ava Chow. This is my 20th year teaching, 12th year in Eastside. I am also the Eastside Teacher Association Secretary and also a trustee for Cupertino Union School District. However, tonight I'm speaking on my own behalf. I'm speaking as a teacher. Our students, our teachers, our staff members are here, including administration, deserve a safe place to learn. This is the actual title of Ed Code 234A. Ed Code 234B states, quote, "It is the policy in the state of California to ensure that all local educational agencies continue to work to reduce discrimination, harassment, violence, intimidation, and bullying. It is further the policy of the state to improve pupil safety at the schools and the connections between pupils and supportive adults, schools, and communities, end quote. The fact is, there's increased violence, not just at one school or two schools. It is becoming a majority of all of our schools. This is a systematic issue. Our students are being affected, and this is why we need to come up with an active solution. I'm sure there's others that may be viewed as Band-Aids, but I see this as a systematic issue and look at the root of the problem. Maybe one of the things that we can do is consider bringing back a semester-long A through G health course given to our students their first year. Nutrition, what is in health? Nutrition, physical activity, growth, development, and sexual health, injury prevention, safety, alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, mental, emotional, and social health. Actually, Senate Bill 224, if you have a health class, you have to include mental health. And the last one is personal and community health. Thank you.
Thank you, Ava. Okay, so we got Thomas Brittendahl, Matt Kwong, and then Jack Hamner.
Hello, everyone. Thomas Brittendahl, ESTA Vice President. What you are witnessing today did not just happen. This is an ongoing issue that's been going on for the last several years. You all know about this. We've talked about this. The district leadership, union leadership, we've had many conversations about this. The problem is there's some ideological differences that are preventing progress and has prevented progress on solutions. That's why I'm going to ask the board, I'm going to call on the board to get involved right now. I'm not confident that simply union leadership, district leadership can create solutions without your intervention. Most of the scenarios that are going to be talked about here as possible solutions are going to require you to vote on them anyways in some fashion. So please do not just don't just delegate this to management to work out. I want you all to get involved. When we have our further conversations, which undoubtedly are going to happen, I want you to be in the room, even if it's only 2 of you at a time, because I know the Brown Act prevents all 5 of you. Before we get to the board study sessions that Julio Pardo asked for, I want you to be in the room with us when we talk. I think that will be important so you can hear the disagreements in real time as they happen, so you can see the ideological differences and how those lead to a mistake in policy. Again, I'm calling on you, the 5 of you, to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt? Yeah, okay, so Matt, Jack, and then Jenny Ludwig.
Matt Kwong, Oak Grove High School. We are allowing the margins to define the mainstream. 98% of our kids on campus are great, and 2% they got potential, but we are told to meet students where they are, and they're coming to us via social promotion. They don't have the skills to graduate in an A to G environment. We need to bring back pre-algebra and give them graduation credit for that. I would much rather see our community start at community college instead of taking a bunch of, where are those courses called when you're not up to par? Remedial courses. Thank you. Anyways, we also need to get the trades back on, but I understand that's an expensive and long term. We would not have so many kids walking around campus if our classroom offered them things that they could excel and succeed at. 50% of the kids taking Math 1 don't pass it. Okay, we are asked to assume best intentions of our students. Please assume that our admin also has best intentions. Give them the tools that they need to enforce discipline, including involuntary transfers. Make that an easier process for them because kids don't always ask for what they need. And on one final note, I know it's a beaten horse, the bathrooms. Look, I'm scared to go in there. I'm assigned supervision. I walk in there, there's 4 men with better beards than me smoking. And hey guys, can you stop? I won't tell you what they say to me, but I got nothing. What am I supposed to do? Take a picture and have them snag my phone? No, thank you. But hey, seriously, if you guys want to come and do supervision with me, I would really appreciate it because I'm scared. Thank you.
Okay, we got Jack Hamner. Jack Hamner will have 5 minutes. He's president of ESTA. We got Jenny Ludwig, and then we got Roberta Cabigas.
All right, good evening, Jack Hamner, Eastside Teachers Association President. I don't have a lot to say tonight because I've already said it plenty of times with all of you in the media, all of that. So it's all been said and done. But I want to at least focus on one thing that our own district presented to all of you last year. First semester, if I remember correctly, we only had 54% of our students feel safe on our campuses. Second semester, that dropped to 51. I would sure love a survey right now because I'm going to guarantee you it's less than half. And either way, any of those numbers are pretty pathetic. You ought to actually poll the staff. You should probably poll administration. You'd find out, you'd be shocked. Okay. You hear from these people about how they feel about being on a campus. It's pretty crazy. But here's the part that for me that's most important is we all tried to be a part of this co-creator partnership. And some of you laugh about that, but that was your idea and we bought into it. But for some reason, you didn't want to entertain that last year. So we said, okay, we're not part of the discussion, fine. So what happens? It's all decided that we want to have an extra campus monitor and we have an extra administrator. Well, how's that working out for us right now? Okay, how's that working out? It's not. And here's the problem. We've been telling you this for a while. Not only did we want to work together and collaborate and cooperate or whatever you want to call that, but it's about structure. We don't have structure. You can keep adding employees, but if you're not doing something right in the first place, it's not going to improve. I hope the heck you all know that by now. It's what we're doing or not doing. And I'll tell you one thing we're not doing is supporting our students. There's not enough programs and support systems for these things. We're not, if we're going to spend $2.5 million, let's spend it on the kids, not someone that doesn't necessarily have a clue of what they're trying to do right now. And, you know, it's kind of sad because there's a lot of things we could have done and nobody feels safe here. And you know what? I heard some of the people ask, and I've told you this before, come to our campuses, just wait. Maybe it'll change your mind if something happens when you're there, like it did to one of our board members. I think it kind of opened their eyes a little bit. Whoa, this is what they have to go through every day. Our kids can't even be in classes without thinking about what's going to happen when they get out there at break and lunch. Can't go to the restroom. It's, you know, there isn't maybe one solution, and we don't have all the answers, although we have provided you with plenty of recommendations, but it all comes down to one thing. We always want to be a co-creator partnership. It's about working together, not you figuring out what you think you want to do, because you all tried that and it's not working right now. So maybe next time get us involved, because that's what we wanted in the first place. If we really are a community and all that, then maybe we should do that. Kind of frustrating and disappointing to see this, but it's great to see all these people here because you know how important it is to us. So choice is yours now. You can keep going the way things are and it might not get much better. Or you're going to finally go, hey, maybe it's time to step up and do something that we should have done before and think about the structures of how we're doing things, how we're disciplining or not disciplining our students, and how we're supporting the ones that are having troubles or not supporting them so they can actually start to do better and help create a better community for all of us. Because remember, it's not the 1% that we should be focused on. It's the 99% that are trying to get their education and get into CTE and get into the workforce and get into college and stuff. I think we're making some big mistakes and we're always happy to help to try to fix them. But it's up to you. Thank you.
Jack Abner. So we got Jenny Ludwig, Roberta Cabigas, and Marissa Hanson.
Okay, Jenny Ludwig. I'm a teacher at Oak Grove High School. I teach independent study. And I'm also a longtime ESTA member, and I also own my home here in the James Lick neighborhood. So I'm very disturbed about what happened at James Lick. It's not just James Lick. I'm disturbed at what happened at Independence. I'm disturbed at what I see on my campus every day. I also don't use the restroom. I don't. I get in my car and I drive somewhere because on my way to the restroom, I'm going to have to call the office and have them send a campus monitor or an advisor that none of the students are going to listen to try to get the 30-something kids out of class who are smoking in the bathrooms, who are doing God knows what, back to class. And I just don't want to deal with it. So we have it's just completely out of control. I'm just asking myself, what is it going to take to bring our officers back? Is it going to take a fatality? Because the story we just heard sounds like it came awfully close, like this close. Do we agree? Okay, so I don't want to be at a board meeting next year because I think about running for board someday. Maybe not this board, a different one. What if I was on the board and a student died or a staff member died and I know I had voted to take the officers away? You're delaying response time. Notice no one's in custody. The officers would have given a very distinctive, they would have been immediately on the radio. They would have had a distinct description. They would have had a plan. Those people would be in custody if we had officers there. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but we're delaying response times and something really, really bad could happen. Okay. And I know we want our students and staff to all stay alive. And I think we need to bring back the officers. I know the students feel uncomfortable around the officers, but this is a learning opportunity. You cannot go through your whole life saying that all officers are bad and I'm afraid of them. It could be a good opportunity. We pick the good officers, we train them, and it could be a learning opportunity for the students to grow as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. So Roberta, Marissa, and then Gina Gutierrez.
Good evening. My name is Roberta Cabigas, and I'm a student advisor at James Lick and a former biology teacher. Many of my students are parents now, and many of my students are in this room right now, and my colleagues. I didn't know right until this moment that my colleagues had to administer first aid without gloves. I didn't know until this moment. I was ill when the stabbing took place. I was at home being texted by hundreds of people asking me if I was alive or dead, asking if I got stabbed, asking if Mr. Lopez got stabbed. I have been an advisor for a long time. Advisors have been in this room begging for that UBR, which is the Uniform Behavior Response, which is the chart we use to punish and move and empower people, to modify that. We have asked for real solutions. We have asked for tier 3 real supports. We've asked, our social workers are beyond, they have so many pages of students to help, they cannot get to it. The colleague that just spoke right now who said she doesn't even want to go to the bathroom because of all the things she has to deal with on the way, that is my colleagues as well. They don't want to engage. Our entire safety team left because they were fearful for their lives. I will walk around James Lick for as long as I'm able to. I am not afraid to be at James Lick, but I know my students are. They're afraid to go to the bathroom. They're afraid to speak up, and they're fearful regularly. Officer, SRO, whatever you want to call it, I can call the police and I have to wait for them to respond. I have been sent to the emergency room 3 times breaking up a fight. I have permanent nerve damage in my arm from breaking up fights. My mother prays for every human being on this planet and says goodbye to me and tells me to be safe. My son, who's sitting in the office in here right now, I say goodbye to him, and since I've been an advisor, I remind him that I may not come home one day. My peers and colleagues are aware of this. We do need a solution, and we cannot wait. We cannot wait.
Hello, my name is Marisa Hansen. I'm a graduate from Independence. I'm a teacher at Silver Creek and I've recently been in the district for 22 years. I'm the past president of the Teachers Union, and I live in the district. As a past board member on a smaller scale, I know what it's like to make policies and procedures that are best for all staff and for all students. I'm here today to talk about how I believe we all need consequences for our actions. Somehow, in the past few years, the district has stopped giving students consequences. I don't know why, but it's not working. Students are late to class, absent a lot, and have many discipline issues. The policies this board have adopted are not working. If you are late to work, you are written up. If you are absent too much, you are fired. In this district, we need to teach our students consequences so that they can become successful adults. They must come to school daily on time or else there should be consequences. In the past, we had a staff member fired for stopping a student. He restrained the student, but the staff member was fired. This student continued to disrupt the school throughout the rest of the school year. That same student is now in jail for things that he has done that I don't even want to mention. We didn't teach this student consequences. We didn't teach this student's life skills. We failed him. I hope after hearing from the concerns from James Lick, we, staff, students, you, the school board, we all come up with a plan to keep our schools safe and to help students understand there are consequences for your actions. We must teach our students to become productive adults. San Jose continues to go downhill and fast. We need to raise our East Side kids to know right from wrong. It starts with all of us. Help us. Thank you.
Gina Gutierrez?
Yes. I'm Gina Gutierrez. I'm a parent to junior at James Lick High School. I'm also a graduate of James Lick, class of 99. I was there when we had resource officers on campus. He was just like our friend. We could go to him. We can tell him things that we couldn't tell our teachers. But now the school's out of control. My daughter's gotten in trouble for certain things, and I was shocked at it was a slap on the hand. Her actions at an incident she did, she should have probably been suspended, because I know I would have been if it was the 90s and I got caught doing what she was doing. I called the teacher a bad word in the 90s and I got 3 days suspension. These kids are smoking, drinking, doing God knows what in the campuses, and there's no consequences no more. What is it going to take? Somebody to get shot now? It seems like that's what the city does. The crosswalk in front of James Lick only happened because the student died. So that was what it's going to take to get resource officers back, faculty member to die, a student to die, somebody. Actions need to happen now. We can't keep going this way. We need to bring back midnight basketball for these students. We need to give them something to do. That's why they're getting in trouble. They have no resources. School, they're scared, they're not safe. And yes, that's all they want to do is get their likes on social media. So that's why the fights and the violence. Resource officers aren't going to stop the fights, but it will prevent them from happening as much, and it will stop our staff from getting hurt like they're getting hurt. What do you want them to do? Throw the walkie-talkie at the fight? Throw a whistle at the fight? It's not going to stop a fight. A walkie-talkie versus a gun. Who's going to win that one? We need change. Something has to happen. We need the officers back. And I want my child to feel safe every day at school, as well as get in trouble for cutting class. Instead of calling me and wanting me to do something when I'm not there. Something has to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. We have Will Brown, Jason Chang, and Harriet Garcia. I'll just name the last one so you're ready as well. Public comment and person, Yvonne Gunter. Let's start with Will.
My name is William Brown, and I've been teaching in public and private schools since 2005, bunch of districts all around the area. And I currently teach at Independence High School, teaching seniors. And when I left private school for East Side, everyone told me, "You're crazy. Those kids are dangerous." They aren't. They're wonderful. I love working with these kids. What I don't love is that my wife is afraid for my safety when I go to school. I don't love that we were locked down twice last year. I don't love that the students were not even fazed that they were locked down because they are so used to it. I don't love that our district proclaims equity above all, but we allow roughly 1% of students to cause incredible disruption, and sometimes they disrupt campuses they don't even go to. How is that equitable? We need to do better for our families. We need to do better for our teachers. We need to do better for our staff, and we need to do better for our students. Board, do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Jason? Is Jason Chang here? Is he out there somewhere? Jason Chang? Well, if he comes, I'll put this at the bottom to give him time. Harriet.
I'm looking at the clock. Okay. Do I wait? Okay.
We'll restart. To be restarting. Yeah, go ahead, Harriet.
Oh, I take extra 4 seconds. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Harriet Garcia from Independence High School. I've been there 25 years. I'm here as a staff member and as a parent. So I'm going to start as a staff member. According to the website, Eastside Union Advisors, the job description is to assist with attendance, with student behavior, with student suspensions, and to build a connection between the teachers and assistant principal's office. That is Lisa's job, GD's job, all of our advisors on our campus. That's their job, and they do an amazing job at it. What it doesn't say in the website description is that our advisors will risk and jeopardize their safety to disarm someone with a knife, to deal with the ghost gun incident that we had at Independence last year, to deal with trespassers, students who are not on campus, who are expelled or suspended, who are not supposed to be on campus at all, and they have weapons, or they come on campus in droves, or they come in packed cars. None of this is myth, because I have seen it at Independence, and I can only speak from my experience. So I want to make sure everybody understands very clearly my love and my respect for those boots on the ground who should be going home to their families every night without feeling unsafe. Now, as a parent, my daughters are at San Jose Unified because that's where we live, but my heart is here at Independence Eastside. My 2 girls spoke, Liberty and Sunny, my teaching academy students. I've known them for 2 years. As a parent, I know that these kids, and for many of our teachers, these are our kids, their job descriptions: go to school, have fun, go to the rally, go to prom, learn, read, write, get headaches in algebra, whatever, right? Have fun. Their job description is not what you heard tonight. That is unjust and unfair for our students to have to stand up here on a Thursday night and tell you they want basic human conditions that are safe. My parting note is this: please act now. Act as if your students are going to these high schools. Act as if you work on these campuses. Because for 25 years, I'm still East Side. As a Latina, I understand the concerns about resource officer security, but our responses should be 3-pronged. Speaking for Independence, a tall fence we asked for 3 years ago, a high fence to keep all of the trespassers out, non-students. Cameras, we got a few cameras, we're still looking for that. Interventions for those students, our own students. Bring back gang prevention workshops. Bring back midnight basketball. And for those trespassers, SROs. You want more information on that? I told you 3 years ago, my MOU with San Jose Unified, I researched that for a whole 8 months, and no one has asked me about that. So again, it's time to act. Your time is up. Do it now. Thanks,
Harriet. Yvonne, Emily, and Jason.
So I don't think there's one solution to our safety concerns, but I do want to focus on one component of the issue right now. So tonight I'm here as a mom, a social worker, and I'm also the ESTA site president at Piedmont Hills. And just to let you all know, I have never felt unsafe on campus until 2 weeks ago, the incident that happened at our football game. And sadly, I wish I felt confident that leading up to this event, the district did everything in their power to avoid it, but unfortunately, I do not. Fear and anxiety thrive in the unknown, and what I'm hearing from staff, students, in the community is that people are afraid. We want to feel safe and deserve to feel safe. We can only feel confident when we trust that the practices and procedures that our district utilizes are effective, clear, unbiased, and consistent across our sites. The responses to dangerous behavior vary from day to day. They vary from site to site. The uncertainty perpetuates our fears and leaves us even more anxious and afraid. I acknowledge that there's a lot of gray areas in life, but when we're dealing with the safety of my children or all of our students and our staff, we cannot live in the gray. Discipline is black and white. We're either safe or we're not safe. We cannot make decisions about campus safety based on extenuating circumstances. I'm asking for clear, transparent procedures that instill confidence in our staff and our students. And I'm asking you to commit to making our district safer so that our students can focus on learning in a safe and engaging environment.
Thank you. Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Zavala. I am the subject area coordinator of mental health and wellness for Eastside. I've been a social worker with Eastside for 10 years and a social worker in the field for 20. I come to this conversation with the lens of healing and wanting safety and security for all of the students and all of the adults of Eastside. I know and have heard tonight the impact that violence on campus had on James Lick students and other of our sites, teachers, parents, and staff. I hear that parents are worried and concerned for their kids. And also, when I see a student who's acting out, fighting, and violent, I see a student that is hurting, the deep kind of hurt that comes from not feeling loved, not grounded in a place that nurtures you and feels safe. I just want to point out this evening that society as a whole is acting out. Bad behaviors reflect social problems, and we are faced with many. Economic insecurity, chronic stress and anxiety, disillusionment, social and political divestments. The intensity of behaviors we are talking about tonight is a reflection of the greater society that we live in, for schools are a microcosm of the environments around them. In my work as a social worker, I know firsthand the multitude of traumas our kiddos carry with them as they walk into those front gates. And when there is no processing for those deep hurts, that hurt is transformed into rage. And that rage shows up as violence. I stand for healing, deep, meaningful healing for those wounds so that change that we desire, the type of change that only love can foster, is a reality for our youth. I believe that students thrive when they feel loved and they are reminded of their inherent sacredness. My team of 32 social workers district-wide work tirelessly, day in and day out, to create spaces that do this for our youth. I commend so many Eastside staff and community-based organizations who partner with us in doing this work. It is not for the faint of heart. I look forward to our work with National Compadres Network to train staff district-wide in culturally relevant healing practices informed by ancestral wisdom. I commend the board for their continued support for our wellness centers. I hope we all can come together. As the Eastside community, we are stronger together and we have much work to do.
Jason Chang. Hey, I don't see him either. So I think that is it for in-person public comment. I believe we have a few hands raised.
Yeah, we have a few hand raised. Lori Valdez, you are unmuted. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Hi, my name is Lori Valdez. I'm a parent and a community organizer with Silicon Valley Debug. And I'm asking the Eastside Unified High School District to please do not bring SROs back on campus, but use that money, invest in the children, get trauma-informed staff, counselors, more social workers on these schools. There's many kids in Eastside Union School District whose family members were killed by police. Since 2014 to present, 182 people have been killed by police, and these children are living and going to these schools without any kind of support. These children are traumatized. They don't feel safe around them. So when you say you want to help these children, it has to be all the children, not just the ones that haven't been traumatized, because every child has an adverse childhood experience. And if you can't recognize their pain, you see that as bad behavior, and therefore you punish that kid for hurting when you should be helping them heal. We need to heal these children, and we need to start having everybody trained for trauma informed so we get them at a young age so they don't become broken men as what the school system wants to do. Cops only are going to criminalize our Black and brown youth, and that is not acceptable. Cops have never kept our campuses safe. Pay attention to what happened in Uvalde. Let's not forget Uvalde, the 19 children who died because cops didn't keep them safe. Thank you.
Lucila Ortiz, you have 2 minutes.
Hello, board. My name is Lucila, and I am the proud product of Eastside Schools and a graduate of James Lake High School. And I'm here to ask you to look beyond surface and beyond the surface and provide real solutions to the issues that the students are facing, not just quick and lazy Band-Aid solutions. When I was in high school, I remember standing in the same room that you all are, listening to the people that were supposed to have my best interest at heart say that not all students could go to college because we needed janitors and other service workers. These not so subtle racist comments have stayed with me since then and reminded me that stereotypes were not just a concept, but a lived reality for students like me. I'm afraid that we are repeating the same patterns today, and a new generation of young people will be traumatized as I was all those years ago because of our inability to come to terms with our racial history and the way that it's embedded in all aspects of society. I'm calling this for all the adults in here, especially our ESTA members who, by the way, I have not known in the 20 years that I've worked in the East Side, as collaborators to do the hard work of doing internal, of recognizing our own racial biases. We can no longer use ignorance as an excuse. There are a ton of studies that show just how harmful CARPs are to students of color and how they contribute to the school to prison pipeline. By adopting a quick and lazy solutions, you are knowingly sacrificing the lives of the very students you are supposed to serve for the comfort of the few. We can find solutions that get to the root of the problem without putting more students at risk. We keep ourselves safe. It's not going to be somebody in a uniform that is going to continue, that's going to be the magic solution to us. We are the heroes that we need, and I'm asking all of us to step up and bring the real solutions that we need today. Thanks.
I think we have Yiwen Mu.
Yiwen Mu, you have been unmuted. You have 2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yuen. I'm a parent of Piedmont Hills High student. It's unfortunate what happened at one of our football games a couple weeks ago. The latest I heard, the groups creating the safety issue haven't been identified. Recent 2 years have been rough for the schools from a safety perspective. There have been multiple fights involving the students or people from outside of the school. We all have to admit that the safety is getting worse in the neighborhood due to the incompetent state policies and the laws. Criminals are getting encouraged and they are pushing for the boundary and getting bolder. Crimes are around us everywhere in the Bay Area, impacting many families. I was robbed at Knife Point last week, a couple miles away from Piedmont Hills High School. Though the school is so-called a closed campus, it doesn't stop anybody walking onto the campus and committing crimes. The school was doing its best to improve policies each time when something happened. However, that is not the teacher's expertise. I have experienced panicking. I can tell you, unless we are professionally trained and doing that every day, there's no way we can protect ourselves when something happened. We will just be under the mercy of the criminals. Enough is enough. I'm asking the school district to bring back the on-campus police. Police not only have the expertise to protect the students and teachers, they also present law and order which make people think twice before they are thinking about committing a crime. It only takes once for tragedy to happen. It's an urgent issue under the current state environment. I urge the board to treat this as a top priority. Thank you.
Faith, you've been unmuted. If you could give your full name and then you have 2 minutes for your comments.
Hello, this is Faith Figueroa. I want to first start off with saying I'm kind of upset with the with Harriet Garcia's priority over SROs, over the mental health resources that we are failed to promoting, drug abuse triage for drug addiction that's going on in our campuses, and youth-led democracy to really hear what students believe in. Instead of just curating surveys, let's actually hear what students believe in and prompt them to discuss these intense situations. And then I'm also upset with hearing that we don't want to deal with the smoking in the bathroom. Where's the call for drug abuse help and triage for the drug addictions that is going on campus? Oh, quote, you do not want to engage. The prisoner pipeline system diverts valuable resources away from investing in education. 700K contract last year or the year before, that was a San Jose contract, $70 an hour. $70 an hour, we are paying police officers before we fix the underlying issues of violence, which is the violence underlying issues of violence is a huge conversation, but we should contact those resources before we put an expensive Band-Aid on a very deep bullet wound that violence is. We don't want to perpetrate a cycle of incarceration rather than addressing the underlying issues. Instead of focusing on prevention, the system reacts punitively, which fails to create a safer, more productive environment for everyone. And we know that these facts are the prison pipeline targets students of color, low-income backgrounds, and in no way is going to help society thrive. We need to help our students in the underlying issues before we push them into prison. We need to advocate for mental health and youth-led democracy.
Thank you, Faith.
I believe that's all on the hands, virtual hands.
There's no other virtual hands being raised. At this moment, what time is it, folks? Can you help me with my eyes? I think 8:42. Thank you. So it's 8:42. We've had a rich amount of public in-person comment and then some virtual. I believe there are 64 written comments. We could read that out and take us about 2.5 hours for each, or the board could take action to formally receive those minutes, that they become a part of in the board documents, an attachment to this item, and also entered into the minutes so that they become part of the formal public record.
I appreciate that offering. I personally would like to hear all of those comments because people took the time to write them. I think we can go through them pretty quickly.
I agree with you, Madam President. It may take time, but people took the time to submit written comments that they were told would be read out loud in the meeting. And just so that everyone is aware, the board will not be able to engage in a discussion or respond to any of the comments because this is not an agendized item. So whenever you need to leave to take care of your needs, just know the board will not be able to respond, tonight. Tonight. And my suggestion is that we have at least 2 people alternating on reading those comments. Just, it would really help with the voice.
Board President, if perhaps we could take like a 8 to 10 minute break for people to handle whatever they need to handle, and then we'll set up the reading. Great.
Take an 8-minute bio break.
8-minute bio break.
All right.
We'll come back
Then
for
we're gonna read
written
the
comment.
comments into the record.
All right, friends, 2-minute warning and we will be reconvening. So get ready to sit down or stand up if you choose, so that we can continue our meeting and get out not too late. Okay, all right, let's resume. Are we ready to start reading public comment? Okay, I hope you got some water next to you.
First public comment comes from Jacob Benitez, staff member. I submit this comment as an East Side resident, alumnus, voter, constituent, and teacher. When this body made the decision to move away from practices that were unfairly targeting our community's most vulnerable populations, I supported it. I continue to support an end to these measures. However, it is now become apparent that this body is not doing enough to keep all students safe. Administrators not being trained in Tier 3 implementations. Staff are not properly briefed on what TSS even is. Safety teams are not trained in de-escalation. We have not petitioned San Jose City Council for the return of the Guardian program. Overfelt admin and staff are being ignored when they present viable and concrete safety plans to ESUHSD stakeholders. There is a measurable lack of transparency from the district on safety issues. We have made great strides by adding social workers and increasing the size of our safety teams. Police are not the answer, but this body must do more.
Public comment from staff member Jennifer Ames. We, Evergreen Valley, have our fair share of kids who do not understand the term consequence. We're supposed to be teaching our students to be good global citizens, but yet we aren't teaching them that their actions have consequences. If a student does some of the stuff they do on our campuses across the street from campus, they would be arrested. But yet on campus, it's just don't do that again. And then we wonder why things get out of hand. We continue to teach them that rules don't need to be followed. They can be stretched, broken, and far crossed without any sort of consequence. I still wonder what would have happened had our student, who then stabbed another student off campus, been given some on-campus consequences. He walked around like the school was his. He did whatever he wanted, and there was no regard for any authority. No one knows for sure if things would have been different, but it is still sad to think that admin did nothing even when he assaulted several staff on campus.
My name is Nicole Jacobson, staff member. I'm a fourth-year teacher at Oak Grove. I haven't noticed a particular uptick in these incidents on our campus this year, but the rise in school violence across the district concerns me. I do not support the increase in SJPD presence on our campuses, as this poses an increased level of discomfort for certain populations, including girls, students of color, and undocumented students. I do not believe that the increase of external measures such as SROs or similar efforts will improve campus safety. Rather, I would feel less safe with them. Our first priority should be efforts to improve the culture of nonviolence. These efforts should involve students on every level, particularly those students who have been involved in fights and similar incidents. Only by hearing from these voices will we be able to shift culture in a meaningful way. Additionally, I would welcome the partnerships with academic institutions studying school culture to further investigate the root causes at play.
Gretchen Larice, staff member. I teach at Independence High School, and while I absolutely love being at school every day with my students, I worry about our daily safety. We tried to make change 2 years ago, and I attended the board meeting and spoke out then, but to no avail. The board made incidental changes that have had minimal impact. Now we have seen the incidents escalate across the entire district to a point that people are being hospitalized, and we see and hear our colleagues on the news because steps have not been taken in a timely fashion to curtail the violence. We asked for increased safety measures then, and we are asking for even more now. When do you finally realize that enough is enough?
Next speaker, Maria Solis, staff member. School safety is a vibe. It is not an uninformed, armed individual on a school campus. We need to think critically and carefully about campus policing because it has the potential to result in a detriment to school climate and safety and undermine student self-esteem by making them feel like suspects and criminals. Supervision and support is better when done by staff members who care and know about the students, that have the disposition and ability to connect with them and build positive student-staff relationships. Let's think creatively and figure out what we can improve upon as a district as the systems response level, and what we can try that we have not yet tried before that can potentially help us improve the various aspects of safety at all of our schools. My lived experience in all the positions I have held tells me that when students feel welcomed, included, and supported, they have a vested interest in making their school a safe place for themselves and their peers.
Jennifer Black, staff member. I am an English teacher at Oak Grove High School. A behavior problem I see on campus every day is a group of roamers and disruptors who hang out on the office steps or in the bathrooms all day using substances and language that are not allowed at school. As a result, many of their students are uncomfortable or afraid to use the school bathrooms for their intended use. Some will only use the bathrooms in groups. Others do not use the school bathrooms all day, and a few even get notes from doctors to allow them to use the office bathroom instead of student bathrooms. All students deserve to feel safe enough at school to use the bathroom. I want to see the district support progressive consequences for students who persist in violating the rules and making the campus for students who persist in violating the rules and making the campus unsafe for others. The phrase restorative justice is meaningless when the only consequence for offenders is a conversation with an adult, and there is no requirement that offenders do anything to restore the relationship.
Next is Kaneolani Roberts, parent. I'm a high school graduated from Piedmont Hills High School, class of 1992. I'm a staff member at Independence High School since 2003 and Evergreen Valley High School this current year. I'm a parent at Evergreen Valley High School since 2013. With growing concerns at our campuses, there does not seem to be a plan in place or a course of action to hold students accountable for their choices and behaviors. It's disheartening to know that the great students of our community are being distracted with fear and uncertainty. This should be a safe space for the educational years of their lives. As a physical education teacher, we see so much happening outside the standard four walls. The district must have a course of action. I would like to suggest that our RPOs come back to all campuses, as well as follow through with student behaviors. Hold all parties involved accountable for both great and poor choices. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Michelle Sinceri Layton, staff member. I'm deeply troubled and extremely distressed by the multiple incidents of profound violences at James Lick High School. I have urgent concerns over the safety and well-being of the students, staff, and faculty while on our Eastside Union High School District campuses. As a physical educator at Evergreen Valley High School, whose classroom is outdoors, exposed and not guarded by locked gates, I encounter trespassers walking through our campus almost daily. I ask them to leave, but many times they do not. They refuse. I have to call for backup on the two-way radio. This is a safety issue. I urge the school board to demonstrate their commitment to ensuring there is a safe and secure environment for learning at not only James Lick High School, but all of our Eastside Union High School District schools. I am asking for the reinstatement of special resource officers, SROs, to protect our students and staff from violent, life-threatening attacks. I am asking for a study of each site to see how one might make the outdoor boundaries more secure.
Dana Johnson, staff member. My name is Dana Johnson and I am a teacher at Oak Grove High School. I am concerned about my safety and that of my students. Because we are attempting to use restorative justice methods to remedy behavior issues, the aggressors on campus have no real consequences and the victims have no redress. When teaching a small child, one employs a variety of methods to ensure behavior is corrected. However, if students never receive more than a talking to, they will continue to ignore the rules. Their presence and disregard for rules consistently prevents a safe learning environment for the remaining students and staff. Without actual consequences, the situation will only continue to devolve. I would like to request that the board consider the rights of the majority to feel safe and be safe in our schools, provide actual consequences that require offending students and their parents reform behavior and repair the damage they have left in their wake. Thank you.
Jessica Gutierrez, staff member. My name is Jessica Gutierrez, and I am a James Lick teacher and ESTA Equity Chair. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies revealed that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, staff professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Mary Celestine, community member. My name is Mary Celestine and I am a community member and founder of the San Jose Strong. I am writing today in support of providing care and consideration for our youth, in support of providing students with the safety net and resources any child needs to develop and thrive. I am writing today to push against criminalizing our city's children, recognizing that in 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is no correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep our students safe is to intervene before violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Jen Pham, staff member. As an alumni and educator of Eastside Union High School District, I do not support school resource officers on our campuses. SROs criminalize our students for childlike behaviors and create a climate of distrust of authority figures. SROs do not prevent nor stop violence on campus and have proven their inability to respond appropriately to students nationwide. The presence of officers will perpetuate the disproportionate disciplinary action taken against our students of color and students with disabilities. Our community would be better served by directing funds to psychologists to work with students to de-escalate and diffuse student conflict.
Kathleen Leal, staff. When the state banned suspensions for willful defiance in 2019, I knew that by the time those fifth graders entered high school, we'd see the unintended consequences of such short-sighted policies. Instead of preparing our schools, we doubled down on bad decisions by removing SROs based on unproven theories and a belief in the perfectibility of human nature. As an economics teacher, this is a real-life application of the principle that people respond to incentives. The lack of consequences incentivize egregious behavior and endangers the most marginalized population to keep the perpetrators at the school. Our students are not pawns for our social justice experiments on restorative justice. Bring back the SROs. We had a control group of what happened when a district removes SROs. San Jose Unified School District did not remove their SROs, and although there were still weapons and assaults, the individuals at ESUHSD were prosecuted, arrested, and removed. East Side still has their perpetrators at large.
Marcella Avalar, community member. I am writing today in regards to school safety. The Eastside Union High School District is failing our children, failing by not keeping our kids safe and free from worries of what may happen to them in what should be a safe place. Please take action. Create a safe environment for them to achieve and succeed. School should be a place where they are educated and to be able to socialize free from harm. What's currently in place is not working. Fix this for the sake of these kids. Create a safe place for them. Teachers are there to teach, not to control situations that are completely out of their scope. It is the district's duty to keep these kids and staff safe.
Anthony Cardo, staff member. The issues we're hearing tonight are the direct result of abdication of oath of office. Do the families listening tonight know that the declining enrollment decried by the school board and the district before budget needs is being manufactured here? Do the families know that an illegal grade change policy, a last minute and fraudulent LCAP board study session in which no data were presented, an insistence on ignoring student input and deciding policy and anti-democratic closed session are how policy is made lately in our community? What else can we expect from families whose service the board excuses itself? By mainstreaming all needy students without investigation, by removing curricular choices, by overloading caseworkers, by shrugging at systematized restorative practices. Other than that, they will go elsewhere and causes us declining enrollment. The East Side community demands real, transparent, pro-democratic listening and action by the board.
Luz Torres, staff member. As a former alumni of Eastside Union High School District, having SROs has always been a thing. The year 2006 was a challenging year for staff and one of the worst experiences for students. Fear, violence, kids being arrested was normalized. It felt like a prison. Now, as an adult, I see the implications it caused my community, especially those who are marginalized by the educational system. I've experienced two sides of the coin, independence and overfelt. Both schools demonstrate their own challenges when it comes to safety for staff and students. The fact that the district removed SROs cold turkey without a plan shows lack of leadership from your part. The work that I've seen at Overfelt by far has been transformative, but I've also seen my colleagues grind with sweat and tears to maintain school safety and discipline, but with lack the resources and support, it is like leading a blind horse to a river. With that being said, the district needs to invest more community outreach resource to expand the work that we need to do.
Nassim Nouri, community member. We are in the Green Party of Santa Clara County are opposed to bringing police back to school campuses. According to the 2020 Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission report on school policing, the preponderance of evidence suggests that police presence on school campuses for purposes other than prevention and intervention in targeted attacks has the potential for ongoing short and long-term harm, especially to vulnerable student populations. Police on campus does not mean safety. We must stop using safety as a cover for creating an environment of youth criminalization in schools and instead prioritize protection of our most marginalized youth, including low-income students, students of color, and students with disabilities who are most often and deeply impacted by police action. We urge reallocation of precious funds to building restorative practices, youth, such as mental health services and community-based support networks. Regards, Nassim Nouri, GPSCC Council Member.
Kylie Locke, community member. As a former student of James Lick and East Side San Jose community member, the majority of my life, we cannot center the criminalization of our youth when it comes to discussing their safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionality higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, staff professional development, and culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations. Please prioritize all students' safety and well-being through prioritizing community care.
Wayne Cheng, parent. Hello, can we put back PSAT exam for Piedmont Hills High School? Why not give students an opportunity to check their reading and math skills? PSAT exam can only be tested in the student's own school, just like those sports club. It can be an optional test for those interested can join. SAT is not considered in the UC admission. Student do the PSAT for the interest, not for the UC admission. It's a good reason to keep such an exam for those students. Our nearby Milpitas High School still keeps the PSAT exam for their students. Why does our school district rush to cancel this exam for our students? From academics perspective, Milpitas High School did the right thing for their students.
Stephen Rubalcaba, community member. My name is Stephen Rubalcaba, and I am an East San Jose resident and community member. I'm writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized Eastside San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionality higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Stephanie Barajas, community member. My name is Stephanie Barajas, and I am a community member. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center decriminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students is to intervene before these instances occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Annie Abundis, community member. My name is Annie Abundis. I am a community member and former student East Side San Jose. I'm writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies revealed that students of color, those with disability, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Jasmine Najjar, community member. My name is Jasmine Najjar, and I'm a social worker, community member, and most importantly, a former student and graduate of Eastside Union High School District. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized Eastside San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring the cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Kylie Gonzalez, staff member. My name is Kylie Gonzalez, and I am an East Side resident, alum, and teacher at Silver Creek High School. I'm writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between on-campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disability, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations.
Eric Torres, staff. I am a visual arts teacher at Oak Grove High School. A problem I see on campus every day is an increasing group of roamers and disruptors who spend class time hanging out on the office steps or in bathrooms using substance and language that are not allowed at school. As a result of this behavior, other students are uncomfortable and were even afraid to use the school bathrooms for their intended use. Some will only use the bathroom with group of friends or not at all, and a few are even getting notes from doctors to use the office bathroom instead of student bathrooms. All students and staff deserve to feel safe at school. I want to see the district support consequences of increasing seriousness for students who persist in violating the rules and making the campus unsafe. The consequence of restorative justice only works when the offender has a reason to want to restore the relationship with those harmed.
Jeffy Casa, community member. My name is Jeffy Casa, and I am a parent and community member. I'm writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations.
Susana Huerta Quesada, community member. As a community member and community college professor, I urge the board to be forward-thinking and hold justice at the center of the decision to support restorative justice efforts in our schools. More police on campus does not make children feel safe. It is imperative that we equip our youth with the skills they need to solve problems without violence and learn how to be accountable for their actions without threatening them with incarceration or criminalizing their mistakes, which are often informed by their youth and lack of exposure to general problem solving. As a native of East San Jose and a resident, I can attest to the ways that police presence in my community has not provided a safe comfort or safety, but rather has made me and my family feel threatened, unedged, and criminalized. The symbolism of police tells young people that they are not worthy of creative, loving, supportive nurturing, but rather they are a threat that can easily be taken down. Let's change that message.
George Flores, staff member. As an Eastside Union High School District graduate and current employee, I am in total support of having officers on campus. Our officers at Santa Teresa were always kind, respectful, and just seeing them on campus gave me a sense of safety as a student. I knew I was safe on campus. As I began to work during high school, I began to see one of the officers often on his own regular shift downtown. Already having a relationship with him, it was easy to see him as an ally in the community as well. I believe having officers on campus would create a better community for all involved.
Rachel Stanek, staff. Eastside Union High School District needs to move forward, not backwards. We do not need law enforcement on our school sites. The key to school safety is a well-trained safety team made up of willing staff who participate in a school-wide approach to safety. Strong relationships between students and staff based on trust and rooted in restorative practices and language. District support for perimeter safety during lunch and brunch with training protocols provided for higher level incidents. In addition, as a former student advisor, I attest to the fact that we need more tier 3 consequences for student behavior. In some tier 3 cases, in addition to connections to real family and mental health support resources, which are extremely limited in Eastside Union High School District. Sometimes the best consequence and promoter of change behavior can be the fact that in some rare tier 3 cases, student cannot be denied attendance at a school where harm is done. Consequence is needed, not punishment, consequence.
Virginia Engelfinger, staff member. Safety is a right, not a privilege. Ensuring our students receive a range of supports dependent upon what is necessary, including mental health services, disciplinary supports, and yes, police officers. We need police officers to address violent crimes. It is not anyone else's job to intercede on violent altercations. We are not trained to do this. Police officers are trained to do this. It is literally what they do. Once more, we need police officers with an established MOU monitoring all Eastside school site campuses, either on the periphery or on the campus, depending on what is warranted to ensure safety for all. I will not stand by and watch someone die. Once more, safety is a right, not a privilege.
Lily Perez, no, community member. My name is Lily Perez, no, and I am a community member. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized Eastside San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring back cops to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Elizabeth Argamont, community member. Hi, my name is Elizabeth and I support keeping the Eastside Union High School District police free. We do not need the police on campus. The police have a strong history of white supremacy, much like the Confederate statues that are seen throughout the country, but they are not just a symbol of hate because as an institution, they are responsible for rampantly killing innocent Black and brown people, including children, and getting away with these heinous crimes. It is utterly depressing. Policing is corrupt. Police do not make us safer. Policing does not get the root problems that exist in our society. Investing in community and restorative justice resources, trauma-informed care, mental health, and programs and policies that are culturally relevant to the community they serve is what keeps people safe. Keep police off campus.
Brian Packman, community member. My name is Brian Packman and I am a community member. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Anthony Mendoza, staff member. Safety is our #1 priority. Having extra staff to monitor school activity is needed, but they are not qualified to handle people who come to campus committed to harm or kill students or staff. That is why we need SROs on campus. It is obvious from watching the video that was posted online that the staff were not able to stop the attackers and put themselves in grave danger. It was reported in the news that people were just walking onto campus and walking into classrooms looking for people. It is obvious they don't respect school staff. It is easy to give lip service about safety when you are not in the classroom every day. We deserve to have trained police officers on campus in these difficult times. For those who are concerned about bad optics, we shouldn't have to wait for someone to be killed on campus. That would be a real tragedy. Do not wait any longer to bring back SROs. Thank you.
Jessica Sanchez, community member. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. This will leave an imprint of otherness and of fearing both schools and public officers for students. History has shown that criminalizing students does not lead to equity. Restorative justice and community empowerment are the solutions to your problems.
Isabel Lopez, community member. My name is Isabel Lopez and I am a community member. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disability, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Judy Shea, parent. Please prioritize the safety of high school students by increasing police presence on campus. 2, please consider reopening the PSAT test for Piedmont High school students.
Hector Hernandez, community member. My name is Hector Hernandez, and I'm a community member who is a product of the schools in East San Jose. I'm writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disability, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations.
Crystal Calhoun, Elder Leader, SJUEC. Hello, my name is Crystal Calhoun, Elder Leader of the San Jose Unified Equity Coalition, grandmother of 15. My organization believes in mental health and counseling and wellness for all students, ethnic studies, restorative justice practices, special education classes, love and compassion for all students of color, especially Black students. Like the statement says, the County of Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice System in a report says having San Jose cops on campus does more harm to students than good. It has been shown and proven that having cops on campus has only saved very few students in all America, a waste of taxpayer money. The money very expensive on cops is very sad and cruel because the money could be better spent on students' health and wellness. Please don't bring San Jose cops onto campus. It's just setting the student up for the school to prison pipeline. Sincerely, Crystal Calhoun.
Shauna Fortiamo, staff member. The issue of campus safety isn't isolated. It is a reflection of district decisions. Over the past decade, Eastside Union High School District enacted policies that have eroded students' educational ownership, like imposing A to G requirements, cutting crucial on-campus electives, and overcrowding classes. Our current atmosphere fails to inspire curiosity or community engagement. Students feel bored, helpless, and angry, causing them to disengage from their learning and make dangerous choices. I urge the board to review academic and behavior-related choices using data for guidance. Key safety-related questions. How do district decisions impact students' ability to find joy in, feel successful at, and take ownership over their education? How has a lack of a uniform cell phone policy contributed to classroom distractions, online bullying, and campus violence? How has low compensation impacted the hiring of effective campus monitors? What evidence supports spending money on SROs versus liaisons, social workers, and campus monitors?
Leah Garza, community member. My name is Leah Garza. I am a community organizer, and I'm writing to you today as an advocate on behalf of our East Side San Jose youth and their education. We as a community cannot center policing and criminalization of our youth in the same conversation around safety. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene and provide support. Considering how much the previous contract with the San Jose Police Department cost, is clear that there are more effective programs which these funds could be budgeted for. You could furthermore benefit from substance abuse support, mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development and staff, extracurriculars, CBOs, and other culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations and engagement. This is something that will affect our youth, and we are all aware. The concern is if youth can be policed by officers, why are they still not receiving the resources they actually need to be successful and personally grow and heal from?
Yusuf Alam, staff and local community member of the school I work at. I'm a teacher at Oak Grove and live in the Oak Grove community. My top concern continues to be students who roam campus, ignore, disrespect staff members, and create a nuisance. It sends a horrible message to the students and community when adults appear to have no ability to control such behavior. Please continue to think outside the box and do extensive research to find out what other schools are doing internationally to curb such behavior. I read that students in some countries who continuously refuse to attend class are mandatorily placed on an alternative educational pathway, such as a more structured alternative school or a career-focused vocational pathway that provides hands-on work experience. They are not given the option to wander freely unsupervised on a campus. As an Eastside graduate, it is sad to say that I have to seriously consider whether I want my young children to attend an Eastside school or look at other options when they grow up.
Misa Trung, student. As a student of Yerba Buena High School, there are a couple of issues that I and some of my classmates would like the board to take into consideration. Firstly, our school regularly utilizes the bus service as a part of our dual enrollment program. However, we've noticed that buses are often late and there have been some complications with buses not showing up at all in some cases. Therefore, we'd like to ask whether there have been shortages of bus drivers in our district, their average salary, health benefits, and what can be done to address this. Secondly, we have issues with traffic in front of our school, and therefore we'd like to make the suggestion of having a crossing guard station in front of Yerba Buena High School and have this funded through the LCAP or city funds through traffic fines. We'd like to know the reasons behind why certain schools lack crossing guards and what problems can be starting such a program, such as lack of funding, shortages, etc.
Tamara Hall, community member. My name is Tamara Hall, and I'm a special education teacher in Union School District. I'm writing to you as an advocate and community member on behalf of our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. Keep SROs out of East Side Union High School District. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disability, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations.
Anusha Chowdhury, student. I believe that police officers won't make our schools safer, but rather increase the discomfort of many. Most students in schools don't hold positive feelings towards officers because of events that went around the nation or personal experiences. Putting police back on campuses will make all of these students have their guards up since they don't trust them. If students don't trust the police on their campus, then how can they say they're truly protected and safe? I think a better way to make schools safer would be to have closed campuses and more staff members around entrances and exits. Right now, in most schools, anyone can just walk in, and certain entrances are right near classrooms. If staff members were around these areas, they can check people who come in or go out, and this can help catch people who ditch classes as well. It'd be better to try different solutions like this instead of having police on campus because they can be more effective in making students feel safe.
Veronica Correa, staff member. Campus safety, issue number 1, no dress code. Students wear red, blue bras to class. No attention is given to dress code district policy by administration. Why do we have rules with no enforcement or accountability? Issue number 2, no universal formal district policy on technology, computer, or phone. What are the rules? Technology is a nuisance and a babysitter if not support and enforced with proper guidelines. Again, no administrative support. Issue number 3, students' use of vape and marijuana on campus. Teachers and students have to sit in classes with students that are high or smell up the room with marijuana. What professional state job will allow this on at a government-sponsored facility? We cannot meet students where they are if we do not have systems in place and staff in place to assist students. Issue number 4, teachers being intimidated and threatened and on-campus student fights. Teachers do not feel supported by administration. Realistic protocols are not in place to deal with fights on campus and violent students.
Paulina Mesa, student. My name is Paulina Mesa. I'm a core member with CFJ. I'm in the 11th grade and I attend Overfeld High School. As a student, my number one hope is that I am in a safe environment and understand that the district believes having police, SROs on campus will provide that. But to me, that is the complete opposite. As many know, a good amount of schools in the East Side Junior High School District, especially Overfeld, are students of color. And many of these students agree that they feel safer with the authorities off campus. Many students feel as if they are being carefully watched, since this is what unfortunately happens too often. People of color are often seen as criminals or are easily labeled as bad people. And I believe that adding police back on campus makes these assumptions correct and makes the students feel uneasy. I strongly believe that this is what is best for our community and hope that you will take into consideration the youth's concerns.
Fernando Castaneda, student. Latino and Black communities are afraid of the return of officers because of traumas with police racism and brutality. Advancement Project, a racial justice organization, explained that these communities were negatively impacted by the appearance of on-campus officers due to previous encounters, like assaults in the past. This harms all of our students' mental and physical well-being, as student resource officers can simply abuse their powers without consequence. Our schools have fought hard to have voices. This matters, especially with the return of SROs. We should have the power to see what's best for ourselves. No parent or teacher would want students to go into an environment where police officers attack and oppress them. Social workers can amend this. They look after and provide emotional and mental help to students should they need it. This creates greater unity and promotes relationship building with students. It also tackles the root cause of violence, poor mental well-being.
Alberto Reyes, student. My name is Alberto Reyes. For my birthday today, I would like more security at my school, James Lick.
Adriana Chavez Lopez, community member. My name is Adriana Chavez Lopez, and I'm a community member. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health therapists and wellness centers, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive collaborations.
Bojana Vidic, community member. My name is Bojana Vidic, and I am a community member writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive community-oriented collaborations.
Philip Hernandez, staff member. Increase the number of campus monitors on each site. 4 per site would be a great start. Start holding chronically disruptive truant students accountable.
Charles Fowler, staff. I'm here to support more investment in safety training across the board on campuses. There's a crisis in leadership in this district, which creates tension with certificated staff. MTSS coordinators and social workers are newer initiatives that have not been as supported as they can be, including training in restorative justice, de-escalation, and much more than the district holds up as alternatives to punishment. We can barely fill admin position, and that's a district problem. Why don't teachers step up? What's stopping them? What lack of training and support creates leaders or lack of leaders in positions of power? How can staff feel safe when they don't even trust the leaders to understand the dynamics of a campus community? I'm asking to reinstate the Stakeholder Equity Committee or another safety committee to brainstorm and introduce best practices to handle escalated safety issues at sites.
Ethan Nguyen, student. We understand the urgency to take action given recent incidents at James Lick, but we are adamant in saying that bringing resource officers back on campus is not the solution. Black and brown students already feel unsafe around cops in everyday life, but that fear extending to school, which is supposed to be their safe haven, is a whole another issue. Students' education will be put into jeopardy if they have to parade around school afraid they'll fall victim to a system that subjugates and treats people who look like them as lesser, only leading to an endless cycle of inequity where they will never be able to catch up to their white counterparts. While not every police officer is bad, they also operate under a corrupt system, this making them, I say that?
Let's find a different word for that.
Glenn, do you have a synonym for me? I will skip the word. Apologies. This making them parentless by nature. They do not belong on a school campus, and their mere presence will only exacerbate the issue, not reduce it. We offer safer alternatives like campus monitors instead, will pose less of a danger to Black and brown students.
Mr. Superintendent?
Yes.
Before you read, how many more comments do we have?
We have 65 total comments, and we are on
58.
58. So we have about 7 comments to make. I think we can get
Okay.
through those before 10 o'clock, but it is 9:45.
And we have other issues to address. So I'm going to make a suggestion or move that we extend our meeting until 10:30. 10:30?
All right, 10:30 is fine. That's part of that motion. I'm going to ask that the item 12.01 that was moved to 11.01 be carried into the next meeting.
Oh, good idea.
You want to do it 10:45, you don't have a.
That requires a motion?
To extend our meeting requires a motion. So I move to move our meeting to extend our meeting till 10:30.
Second.
Okay, we'll need to do a roll call vote as Board Member Lay is offsite.
Are you ready? Okay. President Chavez?
Aye.
Vice President Cortese?
Aye.
Clerk Doe?
Aye.
Member Odetta?
Aye.
Member Lay?
Aye. Great. Motion passes unanimously. We'll extend to 10:30, although I do believe we can get out of here. Superintendent.
Are we at, I believe we're at 58?
Yes.
Okay. Violeta Zaragoza. I grew up in East Side San Jose, right down the street from Overfell High School. There should not be police on campuses because policing is the opposite of safety. Most children don't feel safe with police around. Whatever safety or behavioral issues that arise at schools need to be addressed at the root. Are children eating enough nutritional meals? Are children being made to feel less than average because of hierarchical grading systems? Are teachers equipped with the pay and training to manage behavioral issue? Is school too long? Are parents being overworked and underpaid at their jobs, leading to more stress at home? Are students being taught about ethnic studies, gender, and sexuality? One way to keep schools safer is to make sure that children are being taught to not be hateful at an early enough age to counteract how much racist and violent media they may be consuming outside of school.
Aaron Jensen, staff member. The current safety plan has failed. The district needs to reassess the current policy, specifically resource allocations regarding safety. It is not equitable to apply a unilateral policy across all sites. There are site-specific safety needs in both facilities and human resources. At a site level, we apply resources and services equitably, not equally. A new site-specific safety plan needs to be developed, addressing gaps in manpower and literal gaps in the fences, better meeting the needs of all schools and all students.
Valerie Ikemoto, staff. I'm writing to you today as an advocate for our East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between on-campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include appropriate credit remediation at all schools so all students can participate in education despite how far behind they are. This will keep them in class. Continued mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development on managing unsafe behaviors, and culturally responsive community-based collaboration.
Jessica Ignacio, staff member. My name is Jessica Ignacio, and I am a social worker. I'm writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is not a correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies reveal that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations.
Faith Figueroa, community member. The prison to pipeline system is deeply problematic for several reasons. First and foremost, it perpetuates a cycle of disadvantage and inequality. By disproportionately targeting students of color and those from low-income backgrounds, the system undermines the principles of fairness and equal opportunity that are essential in a just society. The prison to pipeline system diverts valuable resources away from investing in education and rehabilitation, perpetuating a cycle of incarceration rather than addressing the underlying issues. Instead of focusing on prevention, the system reacts punitively, which fails to create a safer and more productive environment for everyone. In conclusion, the prison to pipeline system is a deeply flawed approach that perpetuates inequality, fails to address root causes, and diverts resources away from more effective solutions. By working together to raise awareness, demand change, and promote equitable policies, we can create a more just and inclusive society for current and future generations.
Raymond Ramirez, staff member. On the topic of bringing police officers onto campus at Eastside schools, there needs to be a discussion about the age-specific training that these officers would receive. School resource officers, for example, have a high level of training specific to working in schools. If an officer has not received adequate training, then I would not support that officer being on campus. On the topic of training, why not invest money into the existing staff that is on our campus already and build our organizational capacity? What resources are we using to support our current staff? Developing solutions to these questions will deliver a more impactful and sustainable results.
Katie Taylor, CBO partner. My name is Katie Taylor, and I am a social worker for the Santa Clara County Office of Education. I am writing to you today as an advocate for our most marginalized East Side San Jose youth. We cannot center criminalization of our youth in the conversation around safety. It is imperative that we do not bring cops back to campus. In 2020, the Santa Clara County Juvenile Justice Commission released a report on school policing, finding that there is no correlation between armed campus police and school safety. Instead, these studies revealed that students of color, those with disabilities, and low-income students face disproportionately higher rates of police-involved action. The most effective way to keep students safe is to intervene before a violent incident occurs. Some examples of these interventions include mental health resources, restorative circles, professional development, and culturally responsive, community-oriented collaborations. That is the end of online written comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate that this was read into the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'd also like to thank everyone who has come out to speak, whether it was in person, via written comment, or virtually, about this important issue in school safety and the terrible events that have recently occurred at James Lick. I also want to thank the many students and staff and community members who have sent me and the rest of the board your written communications and thoughts. I can say that I personally have been very moved and touched by your firsthand accounts, your vulnerability, your openness, your willingness to share the impact that this had on you personally. I want to thank Principal Honey Gubwan, who is still here with us, and the entire James Lick High School team for their immediate response and their immediate efforts and steps taken to help students and staff feel more secure. Principal Gubwan has described James Lick as a sacred space, and I couldn't agree more. All of our campuses are sacred spaces, and each of you deserves and has the right to learn and work in a safe environment. Violence does not have a place in any of our campuses. I and Board Vice President Patty Cortese attended meetings with community and staff at James Lick to listen and hear firsthand the impact of these incidents and concerns about safety and how to address the safety concerns that these incidents have raised. And as you have heard today, we have an incredibly wide range of viewpoints and possible solutions and measures, including both for and against SROs, perimeter fencing, and discipline policies and practices. As I see it, it is not about which solution or measure is right or wrong. The common thread here is safety and the need and the right to feel safe where we work and where we learn. When events like this occur, every viewpoint has to be heard and considered. This issue, like we said before, is not agendized for discussion, and so the board cannot take any action today. But as one board member, I'm looking to the administration to immediately develop a process for convening of stakeholders and address all aspects of campus security, provide opportunities for meaningful dialogue with and input by stakeholders, especially in the James Lick community, and to present to the board and public at an upcoming meeting a comprehensive approach for addressing safety concerns and issues with the most immediate emphasis on the James Lick community. Again, we are listening. The board is listening. Thank you. That concludes the end of section 10. We are now on section 11, 11.01. Superintendent?
Council, would you like to bring this quick brief description to the board? What you have in front of you is the recommendation for the, to approve the attached employment contract for the Associate Superintendent of Educational Services as presented.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
I have a motion by trustee Herrera, a second by trustee Cortezi. Can we get a roll call vote?
President Chavez,
Aye.
Vice President Cortezi,
Aye.
Clerk Doe,
Aye.
Member Herrera,
Aye.
Member Lay.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. 11.02.
Well, before we get to 11.02, I would just like to say thank you to the Associate Superintendent of Ed Services directly for the amazing work that you do with all of our staff and our community and our students towards full participation in Silicon Valley. It's truly appreciated. And this contract, we hope to be working together for a long time.
Like he said.
Well, okay, I'll move for approval. I was waiting for a call.
For 11.02, right?
Oh, on two?
Yes,
not-
let's jump to 11.02.
Now we're at
Oh, I
11.02.
thought we were talking
This
about
is
two now.
This is the contract, and this is we are recommending that you consider improve the attached employment contract for the Associate Superintendent of Human Resources as presented.
Move approval.
Motion by trustee Lay, seconded by trustee Doe. Could we get roll call, please?
President Chavez,
Aye.
Vice President Cortezi,
Aye.
Clerk Doe,
Aye.
Member Herrera,
Aye.
Member Lay.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Again, I'd like to thank Mr. Nguyen for the work you do for the district, and I'm proud to work with the team that we have now. Our team's now been a year together, and looking forward to the work that we're going to do together and with our community to move our district forward. (11.03)
11.03. So this is presentation and or discussion regarding first reading draft of 2023 annual audit work plan for senior manager internal audit Kelly Kwong.
And so the recommendation is that you accept this as a first reading, knowing that it will go to the committee and it will be brought here for further discussion.
Do you have a motion on the floor?
We don't.
Oh, we
need
don't.
First reading, so if there's any feedback.
Not for this first reading. Okay, we will move on to the next section. That one was moved.
12.01 was moved and has been now moved. First, it was moved forward in the agenda, but we're going to bring it to the subsequent board meeting.
Great. Okay, so now we are on section 13, business services, 13.01, for the contracts for professional services over 25,000.
I'll second.
Moved by trustee Doe, seconded by trustee Cortezi. Roll call vote, please.
President Chavez,
Aye.
Vice President Cortezi,
Aye.
Clerk Doe,
Aye.
Member Herrera,
Aye.
Member Lay.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, section 14.01, approved provisional permit request for certified employees. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Second.
So I have a motion by trustee Doe, seconded by trustee Cortezi. Roll call vote, please.
President Chavez,
Aye.
Vice President Cortezi,
Aye.
Clerk Doe,
Aye.
Member Herrera,
Aye.
Member Lay.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We are now in section 15.02, approve the use of CMS and piggyback bid awards for bond capital projects. Dr. Hanjun. Can you turn on your mic, please?
Thank you. Yes, good evening. Staff is recommending approval for 15.02, which is the CMAS and piggyback bid awards for bond capital projects.
Do we have any
So,
questions?
yeah, I had asked the question, but I saw it actually, I'd asked the question of the superintendent, but I saw in the board memo, the memo that CMAS and CMAS stands for California.
Multiple, hold on
Multiple
one second.
awards.
Yes,
Right, so this is.
Schedule,
in
yeah, award
essence-
schedule.
This is in essence a pre-vetted list of
That
vendors
is
and
correct.
prices and things like that. So we're legally not obligated to do the multiple vendor bidding process.
That
So
is exactly
I
correct.
just, for our community, wanted to spell that out. And if we could just get like a 30-second, what is a piggyback?
So it's so both of them are contract vehicles to basically streamline the process, but in a legal manner. And so a piggyback is when our agency utilizes a process for a like comparable product or service that another agency has actually gone out and bid, solicited, and followed all those contracts. And you'll see that the backup in the documentation demonstrates that. And so that's what a piggyback is.
So these are still responsible uses of our taxpayers' funds.
Yes, and the other piece of this, that there are many aspects to it, but we do have to demonstrate that it's in the best interest of the district, and it is the best value, and we document that.
Thank you. I'll move to approve.
Second, I just want a quick questions on that front.
Yes.
I presume that the word piggyback is, in other words, if we can change for the publics, is pre-vested. Someone else already pre-vetted, excuse me.
Right, they've gone through the solicitation process, yes.
And so the risk to the district and obviously to our to the publics is minimal, if at all.
Say that again?
The risk of because already pre-vetted, therefore that the risk is minimal, if at all.
It is pre-vetted, but we also have to go through our process to determine that it is in the best interest of the district.
Understood. Thank you.
So
Thanks for the
what,
clarification.
it's a little different here is that we are presenting our rationale for wanting to work with these pre-bidded partners. And we will be accepting the contract separately at a later time. Is that correct?
Right, so that's a little bit different than what you've probably seen in the past. So first, you're going to take action on the piggyback or CMAS, whatever's coming before you, first to identify that you're approving that. And then you will see another action specifically for the contract for the vendor that has been chosen to be in the best interest of the district.
So what this act really is just an increased level of transparency.
Yes.
It's a practice we've done in the past, but it's increased level, the way we're presenting is an increased level of transparency to the public to say, this is the vendor that we're looking to utilize, and this is our justification for demonstrating to the public that it's in the best interest of the district. Once we approve that, then we'll bring the actual contract separately for approval.
So you will see the contracts for some of these in the next action item.
Thank you for that explanation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so got a motion, trustee Cortese, second by trustee Doe. Can we get roll call, please?
President Chavez,
Aye.
Vice President Cortese,
Aye.
Clerk Doe, Member Odetta,
Aye.
Member Lay.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 1503, approved bond capital project contracts over 50,000.
Second.
But just for the record, this is like a, what do you call it, reoccurring, similar to the standard
A
item. Yes,
standard
that's-
operational item.
Yep, okay. So we got a motion by trustee Doe, seconded by Herrera. Can we get roll call, please?
President Chavez,
Aye.
Vice President Cortese,
Aye.
Clerk Doe,
Aye.
Member Odetta,
Aye.
Member Lay.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We are now on to consent calendar.
Move to
For approval of the consent calendar.
Okay, so got a motion by trustee Herrera, seconded by trustee Doe. Can we get roll call vote, please?
President Chavez,
Aye.
Vice President Cortese,
Aye.
Clerk Doe, Member Odetta,
Aye.
Member Lay.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. On to section number 21, written reports and recommendations. So we have two reports that we are receiving as a board, but no action is necessary. So thank you for that. And so we are now on to section number 22, future agenda items. Is there any future item requests that colleagues we'd like to make a request for?
I mean, obviously, the announcement that you made earlier, I hope will be agendized, or some plan will be formulated about that. And I would also like that plan to address bathrooms. We created the student governing board 5 or 6 years ago, and that very first board, the whole meeting was they were talking about bathrooms. And I'm really I got tonight, like, and the emails that I got from students, how it really is a huge issue for them. So, and I think part of the bathroom discussion might even be a bond program issue. Like, we might need to like redesign how bathrooms, how our students get to interface with that space, you know, that's safe, that's respects their privacy, that's clean, you know, all those things. And I have no idea what that would be, but I think if you get great minds together, we could figure it out.
So I hear that we're not asking for a separate feature item on bathrooms at this point, but to incorporate it into the discussion that we asked for, but also understanding that in long view, we might actually have to bring it back in the forms of a bond and working it into projects.
Yeah, bathrooms might need like a complete redesign,
Yeah.
but you know, as part of this looking, you know, everything we heard tonight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like, I just don't want that to be like, we don't know how to deal with bathrooms, so we're just gonna kick it down the can,
Yeah, right on.
kick the can down the road. So yeah, I think we need to take a look at that.
For that.
I think when we're talking about safety, we have to take into both the physical and the mental well-being of our students. So we have making enormous amount of investments into mental well-being. I think the physical well-being and bathroom should be one of them. The bathroom issues could be both in the short term and the long term. Short terms, we have to part of the safety and physical well-being for students. And then the long term could be a bond, because bond take a while. I don't know if I want our students to wait it until the bond, you know, on the hope that the bond will pass, and then that we would then spend, you know, years down the road before they can have a clean bathroom. So for the immediate futures, I think we have to find that conversation to be part of an immediate solutions and not wait it until, you know, a bond pass, which is, we don't even have a bond conversation until I believe what's next year, November.
We just passed the
Yeah,
measure.
but that's
N.
the past bond, but then if you were talking about the
We're
future bond
actually-
or past bond?
Okay.
We're actually discussing this issue.
Yeah, so I want to be careful with this with the Brown Act. So let me just say this. I hear that the request on the convening to deal with issues of safety. We understand that in the short term, that will have to deal with immediate responses to our current things, and understanding that in the future, it might even lead to changes in facilities, which would be agendized as part of the bond program.
Thank you.
Great. Any other future item request? Trustee Lay, I know you're virtual. Is there anything that's top of mind for you?
I was wondering if we can do a survey before we request the safety issue and the bathroom.
I guess what I'm hearing thank you for that. And what I'm hearing is that when we convene this, we will work with that group to determine what information they feel is relevant to the discussion, what data is available to us. And if we need additional data, whether it's a survey or other focus groups or other things, we'll take those into consideration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are now moving on to section number 23, Board of Trustees. Any comments? We'll start over here with Trustee Herrera.
Thank you. I didn't hear clearly in the comments that were made about the follow-up on safety concerns. I didn't hear clearly that we're aiming towards a study session involving all members of the board on this issue. I totally agree that there should be a preliminary engagement by the board officers, president, vice president,
So-
the administration, and some stakeholders, but
So
I have a real strong desire to have a full board engagement around this issue with stakeholders and so on as a full board.
Yeah, so the request was looking to the administration to develop a process for convening stakeholders. Right, to
That
address
didn't-
us. So we're noting what you're saying. So as we, as it's
Thank you.
being unfolded, like we'll make sure to incorporate that. Thank you for noting that. Is there any other comments that you'd like to make? No?
No, thank you.
Okay, great.
Just to thank the community for having the courage to come out and share their experience, how things are, how they're experiencing them, was eye-opening to be at James Lick and hearing directly from parents and students. Some things that I had no idea were going on, and they were, wow, that's a lot for students to be dealing with these days. So yeah, I just appreciate people sharing, and also look forward to what unfolds as a result of us, all these disparate seeming views coming together and coalescing into a real solution.
First, I want to take a moment to thank everyone who come out tonight, send an email, or to gather with each other to discuss the issues of safety on campus. I have the privilege of coming to Independent High School, where about 50 plus students expressed their concern about their safety. And they talk about all sorts of issues, from the bathroom issues. Talk about how they too have a responsibility to be part of the solution for safety. And I said, wow, that's absolutely incredible that our students are now feel that they need to be part of the solutions. So I'm hoping that we do our part to meet with our students so that we can be part of that solutions, and we can do it as quickly as reasonably as possible when the administration come back. I appreciate my colleague Trustee Herrera's requesting for public study sessions. I would like to be part of that. And should our administrations come to our campus, please share with us information so that if we're able to attend it, we can. I know the Brown Act can allow 2 of us at a time, so we'll take turn, and I know my colleagues care about this issue just as much as I do. So I would love to be a part of it, and that we'll figure out a way so that all of us can find a way to hear directly from the students, the staff, at each one of our sites. And because each one of you, each and every single one of you, whether you are teachers, or classified employees, or students, or an admin, you are part of our Eastside family. And we care about you. What we seen earlier tonight, in the beginning of our sessions, show that we as a community absolutely care about each other. I see people jumping to help. I see people moving the tables and the chairs around so that when our emergency service personnel, EMT, paramedic arrive, they can be serviced. I see our staff running out to direct the traffics and making sure that our paramedic can arrive. So each one of us has a responsibility to step up to make sure that all our campus are safe. So I thank you for what you exhibit earlier tonight. I also want to thank you for the tone and tenor that each and every one of you have exhibited, that you're here for this to come up with the solutions. And I'm grateful for that. In the weeks and perhaps even months ahead, as we're looking for solutions, hopefully sooner than later, is that we can maintain that same spirit of working together to find a common solutions. Thank you.
Trustee Lai?
Yeah, I would echo the same thing with all my board colleagues, and I want to say thank you to all speakers, especially students, so teachers, staff, as well as those written comments relating to the safety issue, the bathroom. And I know that the district as well as the community is very, very concerning about those issues, very important and also caring. Because we live in the east side and we want to make it better. And I know that I had the meeting with a student governance board last Tuesday, and I also asked them, to give some feedback about the safety issue. How would they, look into the safety issue, from the student governance board? And I really want to say that appreciate all admin, our teachers, staff have been involved from beginning of the school year, especially for those incidents that happened in James Lake, as well as other school in our district. So my last comment is I want to say thank you, Mary and Sylvia, for helping me to be ready for my trip, AAPI for Leadership Summit. Actually, this is a last minute. Finally, I got to be in Sacramento, but I wish I, have time and to be there with all of you. But I never want to miss any board meeting at all. So appreciate all of those hard work and thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lake.
Madam President, may I put a brief PS on my comment? The reason why I feel a need for a full board conversation in a study session on safety concerns is for some time now, this has been building at various campuses in various segments of the community, concerns about safety. And I think we've reached a kind of critical point where the board needs to re-examine every assumption and every premise on our policy framework. And we need to re-vet it. We need to revisit and re-embrace how we're moving forward, because I think already from a number of comments and just the experiences people are sharing, that it's clear to me that we need to calibrate our policy a little more precisely in various areas of the framework that we're using for campus safety. And I'm looking forward to that study session involving the full board. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Already said a bit, but and I think my board colleagues have really what can I say? I echo their sentiments. The one thing that I do want to reiterate is to everybody in our community, is know that we truly are listening. And I look forward to continuing the conversation with each and every one of you. And with that, Superintendent Vanderzee.
Yes, thank you. Thanks again earlier to everybody who demonstrated the best of East Side. That's who we are, and that's what will be in this process. As we go forward in this process, I'm going to ask all of us to, as we participate, that we just look for what's in the best interest of our East Side districts, our district and our students and our sites. And part of that will be just an investigation of the data and looking at operationally how things are structured as well as policies, so that we can really see what happens and what our responses are and what they could be. But I think a key aspect of this is really going to have to build off of what we've done a much better job as a district over the last 10 years, which is the inclusion of student voice. And I think at this, as you mentioned, the 50 students and independents asking for the same, like our students are ready to be part of saying this is how we would like our campuses and how our experience to be. I believe that this discussion will not just end with safety. It will get to issues of belonging. It will get to issues of having their voice heard in their daily school experience as well. And I think that will contribute to the true resolution that we're going to find. But we'll find it together, and I have full confidence that we'll be able to do so, because that's just what we do.
right?
If I may.
Sure.
Very quickly. First of all, thank you, our superintendent Venezis. You said a couple of things that really resonate with me, which is look at the data and making sure that our students feel belonging. So I hope what we do to address safety is visible so that our students know that we are listening and we are responding. I think in the past is we have done things for our students, but we don't always make it visible. I think it's our part because when we do that, when we do so, the community, the students, teachers, and staff know that they're part of the solutions, and I want to see that ongoing commitment. So I thank you. It's a lot of things that you said resonate with me today. And earlier when I talk about everybody jumping through, I saw two individuals that I should have recognized, Mr. Nelson Tran and Mr. Greg Duarte for jumping, helping when we have an incident earlier. So thank you for those two and everybody else that did it, that jumped in helping. That is truly our Eastside family.
Yep. We are now in section number 24. This is closed section. Legal, do we have, or council, do we have anything to report out?
Yes, we do. Closed session item 2.09. In the matter of Partita versus Eastside Union High School District et al., the board, all votes were taken by roll call. Motion by member Herrera, second by member Doe. The board unanimously rejected the claim of DCP, Downtown College Prep, for indemnification and damages. Also in closed session, same item, motion by member Doe, second by member Herrera. The board unanimously approved and authorized the filing of a cross-claim against Downtown College Prep in the pending Partita litigation matter. And again, that was unanimous. There are no further actions to report.
Thank you. It is 10:23. This meeting is adjourned.